Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Super Old Game Saturday. It's the retro show I put on every Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for classic gaming goodness and NES driven by the discussions you have in the chat and anything you want to see, because I kind of mentioned this a little bit when we played The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time last week, or started it. But one of the other things I want to do this year is we're going to be playing through both those Zelda N64 games, but the other thing is, I said this last year, but I want to reiterate this now. I promised to the chat and to the viewers of the show, help make the show what it was into last year, or from last year, and I'm already loving the one show we have from this year to start, and keep going strong. But I said, hey, to thank all of you, all you guys and gals out there in chat land, or Twitch land, or YouTube land if you're watching over there, I'm going to fulfill a request of yours at least a month, or at least one request you have a month. It might be more. I mean, technically this month is going to be more than one, because we're continuing with Kingdom Hearts for Part 5 at the end of the month, which was a request in of itself, as well as Gunstar Heroes for next week. But for this week, on the Quest of Electverse, he wanted to see more of Final Fight, because last year we played Final Fight 1, using the Final Fight Double Impact collection, which was a great time we had. I had a great time playing that game and going through the beat-em-up franchise of Capcom's, and he said to me, hey, can we see the rest of this franchise? I said, absolutely. Asking shall receive as far as anything you want to see on the show. So I went to the Wii U. Yeah, we were running on Wii U for the purpose of this. I'll explain why. We're going to be playing the other Final Fight games, but to start, we're playing with this one. I'm in my Super Nintendo folder, just to show you a little bit of it. I have my Switch set up with nice... okay, Freudian slip. Switch does not have folders, and damn it, Nintendo, give us folders for Switch. Everybody wants that. But, yeah, unfortunately they don't. But yeah, I put them in folders for the Wii U, because the Wii U is actually a great retro gaming box when you think about it with virtual console stuff. So when Electverse was asking, can we have the rest of these games? I said, sure, let me get ready. Let me also buy Mighty Final Fight from NES, which is a $400 game, as far as a regular release. And then Final Fight 2 and 3, which are on Super Nintendo. But yeah, tonight, here's the game we're going to be playing, and let's get started. This is Final Fight 2. This came out in 1993 for the Super Nintendo. It was only on the Super Nintendo. This did not get an arcade release. In fact, aside from the first Final Fight game, none of the other ones were arcade games at all. But it does have an association as an arcade beat-em-up franchise. Indeed, we got that, and that nice Capcom Super Nintendo sound. But it is a sequel to the 1989 beat-em-up we had. Yeah, there is Belger, the enemy from the first game. We threw him out a window, or more accurately, the person who was helping me do the online gameplay that was unplanned for that threw him out the window. But yeah, that was the leader of the Mad Gear gang that took over Metro City. So now we're back in Metro City. Cody and Jessica went off on a vacation. Mike Hagar is the mayor of the town, and Guy was going off on his training still. So everything's good, but, well, in the background, you get that laugh and that nice flash of the main character, or the main bad guy in this is Retu, who is basically taken over the Mad Gear gang. But yeah, they have our number. So what they did is they kidnapped Guy's fiance Reina and her father Genryusai, who is the sensei and the master of Guy as far as that. And so what happened is that Reina's sister Maki got on the phone and said, hey, Mike Hagar, the mayor here, wearing that nice tie and suit. Yeah, he has his wrestling skills, but yeah, he's willing to take the phone calls that way. And he's willing to drop everything he has in town. I guess, I don't know who he has to help take over the city or control the city while he's out. But he's like, yeah, let me get on a plane to Hong Kong, help Reina out, because he knows that, hey, this is Guy's sensei and his fiance that's getting taken care of. But we also have someone else going on as far as this. We'll see in just a second. Yeah, Mad Gear gang must pay for their crimes. They're going to. We're going to beat the everling hell out of them to do it. So after making a call to get a plane ticket, well, we have this guy. This is Carlos Miyamoto. He is a South American fighter with martial arts who's a foreign exchange student in the U.S. If he's with the U.S. where Metro City is. He's bunking with Mr. Hagar there, Hagar. I gotta get that right. And what's going on is that he said, take me with you. I'm going to be a valuable asset, and you've done so much good for me as far as this. But yeah, there you go. That is the start of Final Fight 2 for Super Nintendo. We're playing on Wii U Virtual Consoles, I mentioned, because it costs quite a bit of money on Super Nintendo on its own. It's about $70, $80, $90. And Final Fight 3 is even more expensive at over $200. And Mighty Final Fight is almost $400. So yeah, paying $8 on Wii U is the way to go for Final Fight 2 and 3, and $5 for Mighty Final Fight. And we'll get to those games eventually, but I think what we're going to do is, as I mentioned when we did Streets of Rage, we're going back and forth on this franchise. Last year we played Final Fight 1 and Streets of Rage 1. Now it's Final Fight 2's time to shine, so we're back to Capcom territory, and then we're going to do Streets of Rage 2 sometime later this year, because that's going to be its 30th anniversary sometime. but I'll figure that out later in the year as far as that. But all right, I'm going to the options menu just to get a sense of some things. You have difficulties of easy, normal, hard, and expert. You do need to complete the game on expert to get the full ending. I'll try it later. I'll see what I can do. And here's the thing. You're thinking like, well, why don't you just put in code? There are no codes for this game at all. Well, fine, there's one, but it's not going to help me because it's for two-player. You can play as the same character for the two-player game. But yeah, for the purpose of this, that I have no other way to do this. So I'm going to have to go through the game on my own to do this, or what I think I'll probably do is... given how short the beat-em-ups are, and we've always went into this when the beat-em-ups have happened, I'm going to play it through normal for this one, because I know I can do that. I did test playthrough on that last night, because I've not played this game that much. In fact, I first want to thank you for this, in the sense of getting me to play this game, because I had never played this growing up. I hadn't played it until you asked for these games, and I said, let me download these on Virtual Console, get that ready to go, and it was kind of my first time playing it. Last night was the first time beating it. So, I'm going to go on normal just to see how this is. I can beat it on normal, and if I do get in trouble, I will show one other thing. Hit the ZR button. The Wii U console menu, or Virtual Console menu, has save states. I do have a save state right there at the final boss. If we have to use that to do it, we'll do it. But, that is our only safety net. So, yeah, it's the other thing. Actually, you know what? If I had this on Super Nintendo, it might be easier because I could use a Game Genie feasibly and put in codes that way. But it's like, fine, we're going to get through this game. I think I can get through this in normal at least. And then after, I think what I'll do is we'll try Expert. I'll get as far as I can on that, because it seems like we play the Final Fight games at least twice. We did last year. We did with Streets of Rage on top of that. We'll see what we can do. And if I can't, what I'll do is in a couple of days when this goes on the YouTube site, which is linked somewhere in the Twitch area of where I am, I'll show what the good ending is, or the best ending when you're playing Expert. We're running normal to start. Hi, Electverse. Good evening to you. Glad to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well. I've had a good week and having a good weekend so far. I have a game you've asked for. You want to see the rest of Final Fight? We're going through the rest of Final Fight with the next game in the lineup, which is Final Fight 2 for Super Nintendo. Just in the options menu, getting a sense of my settings. We're going to run normal to start to play through this. As I said, I'll try Expert later. If we can't beat it, then I'll do an edit to show what the full ending is, because it's one of those games, and we got this a lot in the Super Nintendo Genesis era, where you have to beat the game on the highest difficulty in order to see the best ending. Although you don't get a bad ending, say, for beating on normal, so at least there's that. The other thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to check the controls I have. Attack is on the Y button, B is jump. Extra Joy is... They do give you the option in this, which is pretty nice, of doing your special attack, because like with Streets of Rage, or Streets of Rage 2 anyway, you have a special attack. You press the attack and jump on. Actually, Final Fight 1 worked the same way as well. But if you turn Extra Joy on, you can also turn it on to any button you want. So instead of having to hit Y and B, we can just hit the... I'll put on the A button, and we'll run it that way. Good evening, Dolly Finn. Good to see you. We are here with Final Fight 2 for Super Nintendo on the request of Electverse, because, yeah, we played Final Fight 1 last year. We had a really good time playing that game, as well as Magic Sword, which is in that. So that was kind of a 2-for-1 deal. That was actually... Before I got the better audio equipment, that was actually probably one of my favorite streams that we did last year. And it's been about a year anyway, so fitting we're going to come back to this and have the next beat-em-up in the line, and going back and forth between Capcom's beat-em-up of Final Fight and then Sega's, which we had with Streets of Rage, and Streets of Rage 2 is coming later this year. But now it's back to Capcom. This is a new one to me. Yeah, it's kind of a new one to me too, honestly, because, as I mentioned, we played Final Fight 1. I sort of played it in that Final Fight Double Impact collection, but outside of that, that was it, and I hadn't played any of the other ones, and all the other ones were on console only. They were not arcade games the way the first one was. So yeah, this is Super Nintendo, but yeah, it passed me by. So yeah, it's the case. But alright, I just want to set my controls to Extra Joy on A for my special. And yeah, we're on normal. I'll try later on Expert. We'll see how that goes, but normal I can beat. Just hear that Capcom logo again. Or hear that Capcom chime. Alright, this is the story we saw of Final Fight 1. As far as what we had, I'm going to skip this. It is on the YouTube site, but basically the idea is we have Mike Hagar, the mayor of Metro City. We destroyed the Mad Gear Gang in the last game. Cody and Jessica went on a vacation together because they are an item, for sure. Guy went off to do fighting as far as training, but yeah, Guy's fiance and his master were kidnapped by the Mad Gear Gang that is reformed, and now we got to go take care of them. And there's 2-player. Let's talk about that. Final Fight 1 was on Super Nintendo as well, and as people tend to know on that, Final Fight, when it ported it to Super Nintendo, it did not have multiplayer at all. In the arcade, it was 2-player. Oh, it goes to demo. I did not know what to do. You know what? Fine. I'll show demo as far as this, because it'll show what we're not seeing tonight, which is the 2-player. Because, yeah, people were saying, hey, it was really nice that they were able to get Final Fight running on Super Nintendo as it was, but no 2-player was kind of a big slap in the face to it. And why did it stop? Oh, okay, we're getting profiles. Okay, I did not see this in the test playthrough. You know what? I'm gonna let it play then on the back of this, so at least we can show this. Alright. This is Maki. She is the sister of Reina, who is the fiance of Guy, and she wants to compete in tournaments. In the Japanese version, it's a little different because she is actually a biker gang leader, and they changed that for the release when it came out here. Actually, in that case, I want to see then, given this, is that will it go into the other character bios, at least for Carlos. But yeah, as I said, 2-player was not a thing for Final Fight 1 on Super Nintendo. 2, they said, we have to do 2-player, we're doing 2-player. Alright, well, there is Carlos, and I think we're going to see Carlos, at least, who is a new character, and honestly, after this, we saw cameos of him in other games in Street Fighter V and Capcom Fighting Evolution, but he was never playable, whereas Maki was, specifically in Capcom vs. SNK 2. Alright, fine, this is Mike Hagar, who is the mayor of Metro City. You know, I guess I'll show all 3 of these, because, hey, it'll be a complete look anyway. Once the champion Street Fighter, which is going to be the connection with Street Fighter for Final Fight until it went off its own way, found peace of the mayor of Metro City, and he is widower, by the way, as the first game went into. But yeah, in this case, you know what, let's do it one more time, and we'll make sure Carlos pops up, and then we'll get to fighting. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. As I said at the beginning of the show, just to reiterate now that Like First and Dollyfin, you're both here. Anybody else who might be in the chat for the purpose of this, this is going to be the start of the initiative this year, where at least once a month, I'll have a game that anyone in the chat or anybody who's left me messages either through Twitch or on the YouTube site has asked me for. We're starting this, and thank you, Like First, for the recommendation as far as us continuing with Final Fight, and also with patroning the show as you've been, and giving these great suggestions, and the chat. I appreciate that for sure. Alright, here's Carlos Miyamoto, who is a fighter from South America who's currently a tenant at Mike Hagar's home. Or Hagar. Fine, I guess it's Hagar. I keep saying, like, Sammy Hagar, which I guess maybe Capcom was going into because they have, like, a music case. There's when we get back to Mega Man, and we're going to be doing that in a couple, well, later this year, but also with Return to Mega Man Legends next month. Alright, fine, let's get this started. Alright, so we do have the 3 characters. We did show their profile, which I didn't know was a thing to this. Mike Hagar, Maki Genryusai, and Carlos Miyamoto. They do have different stats. Hagar's the strongest. I'm going to show all 3 of these characters as I go along, but Hagar's the strongest but the slowest. Maki is the widest and sort of weakest with punches, but she attacks fast. And Carlos is kind of in the middle, but he also has some pretty powerful stuff. How this is going to work is there are 6 continues on this game when you start playing, regardless of what difficulty you're running. So anytime I die, you get a game over, I'm going to change character. We're going to start with Maki. And then I'm going to end up going on Hagar because I beat the game with him. Alright. We're going to Hong Kong, 12 p.m. So it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, which I'm going to have to get to eventually and get a copy of that eventually. But alright, going into the streets, beating up enemies as it was with Final Fight 1 and with Streets of Rage 1. Go around, beat stuff up, pick up the boombox. There were points. The drops in this game, I will say this, as far as the items, are actually random, I think. Unless, maybe, chat, you know, I'm not sure about this because I mentioned I haven't played this game much. Let me know in your memories with Final Fight 2 and the other Final Fight games, or anything else Capcom got to say. But yeah, whenever you find items, it seems like they're random, which can kind of be a little bit of a weird case. But yeah, just walking around, just punching. Y is your punch button, B is your jump, A is your extra fun, which is your special attack. Like with Final Fight 1, you use that, it doesn't hurt anything, or it doesn't hurt you unless it hits enemies. If it does hit enemies, you lose health, but it causes more damage like so. Yeah, there you go, I lost a little health, but yeah, you can use that to get yourself out of jam in some cases. Also, you can see the reference to Street Fighter 2 in the background, because there's Chun-Li dining down on the noodles in the shop. So yeah, there she is. Hello, friend. It was good to see you a few months ago. So actually, it was like we saw her a few months ago when we did Street Fighter 2 for the fighting showcase. Alright, you just walk around and have the, again, have the animations going on as far as, you know, enemies dying and going, whoa, when you knock them down. And also, when you do the hold, it's kind of like Streets of Rage, but unlike Streets of Rage, you don't really have much jumping unless you're playing as Hagar, which we'll show later. What you do is you do a hold on him. You won't have to press down and the attack button or do, like, the punch in line. Otherwise, you throw them. And you can throw them in different directions, like with Streets of Rage. There you go. That's a neat cameo. Yeah, it is. And actually, there is one other cameo for Street Fighter we're going to have. And I guess it's interesting to that. Let's go to this at least, because here's the deal. We're going to be beating up enemies, so you're going to see this. In some ways, like the other beat-em-ups we played, maybe there's only so much I could talk about without being repetitive, but, well, fair enough to that. But this is an interesting case with this franchise where it's had a lot of crosses with, I guess, other Capcom series, specifically Street Fighter, because Reina was an interesting case in the sense that, as mentioned earlier on, she was playable in Capcom vs. SNK 2. I think she was also, I don't know if she was playable in Capcom Fighting Evolution or not, but she was also in Street Fighter Alpha 3. on the Game Boy Advance and the PSP only, which is very strange. I don't know why it was just those two versions, but there are also, I guess, references to her on other stuff as far as, and same with Carlos. So I guess the idea is that, Capcom had a lot of, cross-references things. Also, one other thing also to show off, when you jump on the wall and jump again, you do this kick off of it, which is exclusive to Maki. But yeah, you're right as far as the cameo stuff, and also, I guess, some of the in-reference, because let me also talk about that, because I didn't really show it off enough yet, or early on. I mean, I guess when we beat the game, we will beat this eventually, I'll show this off again. The character select music actually does sample music from other Capcom games. Specifically, it samples Ryu's theme from Street Fighter 2, and it also samples the weapon get music from Mega Man 4, which I believe was... Okay, fine, it was not the most recent Mega Man at the time, because Mega Man 4 was 1991... No, maybe it was 1992, because it was 1993. And then there's Mega Man 5, and then 6 was 94, I believe. But I get the sense that with this one in particular, there's a lot of, I guess, crossover to some degree with other stuff of Capcom's. I guess also in terms of the music, of which there are a lot of people who are involved in the music on this. Like, a lot of names specifically. I'll go into them as we go along, but in the meantime, y'all, like with other beat-em-ups and like with Final Fight, before you pick up the weapons, you have the 2x4. Just slash it at enemies. To be fair, it's not too much to it, but as I said, it is a fun game in the same way that Final Fight 1 is, although you do notice some of the limitations going on here, including the fact that, well, okay, you get punched off, and if you drop your weapon 3 times, sometimes less depending on the weapon, it's gone, and you can't get it again. And the weapons are not random. Those will show up in set locations, and some of the food will, but not all of it. And like Streets of Rage 1, you do have the ability to hold your weapon when you're doing a grab and hold. You do want to do that 2 punches and then throw them, but in my case, I have to remember to hit down on the D-pad to do that. But yeah, as I was mentioning, the idea of how there's a lot of, mixtures of music as far as a lot of the people in this. Actually, you know what? Feasibly, since there's only 3 enemies on the screen at one time, and I think that is a Super Nintendo case as far as that, I can kind of stand here and do this, I guess sort of mention who the people who did the music were. Specifically, Yasuki Fujita, Mari Yamaguchi, Yuki Iwai, who I know for the music for Mega Man X2 specifically, Setsuya Yamamoto, Yuko Takahara, and Tatsuya Nishimura. And later on, I will reference other works of Capcom's they worked on. There was a lot of stuff there for Mega Man, a lot of stuff for Breath of Fire, which I've mentioned a couple times before, which is on the Switch Online, as far as that being around, as far as easily playable and more easily playable. This one, not so much. This is on the Wii U Virtual Console and Super Nintendo, and it was on Wii's Virtual Console, but you can't buy it there anymore. And I don't know if Capcom's saying, like, hey, they want to put this on, because they have put stuff on that Switch Online perspective before. I guess it would be nice to see more stuff from them, more stuff for Super Nintendo. But anyway, yeah, there are a lot of other Capcom games that people who did the music in this game also worked on, and they did songs for Final Fight Original as well, specifically Yasuki Fujita, who worked with Final Fight 1, I mentioned Breath of Fire, Mega Man 4, and also the Darkwing Duck game on NES, which I should show that game because I do have the Disney Afternoon Collection to play that, which is basically like Mega Man 4 with Darkwing Duck, and it actually is quite good. It's kind of hard, but then again, it's like Mega Man, so fitting it up. Alright, we are up on the docks, and we're running into Atlas, who runs into a case of, he does blocks a lot, so he puts his fists up, and you're in trouble if you don't prepare for that. But there is Barbecue, which is a full health, by the way. Going to see the ships in the harbor. Alright, there you go. Yeah, I do want to use the special attack there, because, yeah, I am going to lose life for the purpose of that, but it is a little bit of a, I guess, a risk assessment, really, because of the fact that, hey, if you're surrounded, it's not a good thing. Like, with a lot of beat-em-ups, crowd control is going to be the thing you want to manage the most, and that is what you want to do. As we have in our 2x4 specific as well. I'm getting a lot of wood as far as hitting them. Yeah, maybe, no. Okay, no, the weapons are not random. I was thinking maybe I was wrong. Oh, yeah, but sometimes it will drop once. Alright, there you go. And actually, I guess in some ways with Maki, I'm realizing that maybe using that special attack isn't too bad, only because it covers a lot of range. Also, her attacks don't hit that hard as they are, so you can kind of, I guess, mitigate that way. Alright, but this is 1-1. Here's our first boss. And usually what you want to do with the boss is you want to avoid them jumping in the air and hitting you, because they can hurt very, very, very badly. Also mention, I guess, one of the... Okay, yeah, don't be in the distance there, but yeah, you lose all your health, you're dead. Yeah, Daring Duck of Mystery. Yeah, for Darkwing Duck. You know what, we should show that game. That is a... Actually, have you ever played that game? First I want to ask you that. It's in the Disney Afternoon Collection, which is on PS4 and Xbox One, and I think it's on PC as well. And I showed that collection very briefly when we played the Shooter Showcase 2 years ago, and we did, not Darkwing Duck, we did Tailspin. But yeah, if you like, well, I know you like the show, it seems like, because you brought it up every so often. Ooh, hey, okay, yeah, I'm getting myself killed, not good. I never did Dolly Finn, but like for a little you played it. Yeah, I liked what it was. In my case, though, I was like, yeah, it's kind of difficult to some degree. Well, dang, it's like Mega Man. I mean, it's the same people who made Mega Man 4 who made Darkwing Duck, so you do get that perspective. So yeah, you do have to bring your A game to it a little bit. But yeah, if you like the show, it is a good replication of the show, and it is probably the best game based on it, unless... Because there's one on Game Boy, which I think might be a port of the NES game, but I don't know. And there's also the TurboGrafx 16 version, which is insanely hard to find. And it's supposed to be really, really bad in terms of how its hit detection is, including the fact that a lot of cases you jump on enemies and nothing happens unless you hit down on the D-pad, but even then it's not a guarantee. And it also costs a fortune, so it's like, it's one of those rare games that, yeah, you want to maybe break your piggy bank for, if you're like, hey, you like the franchise, but it's like, well, no, it's not a good game for the purpose of that, from what I understand. Oh shit, alright, I hit start. That is your pause. You do get a little bit of a digga-digga-digga-dit music for that, but alright, fine, there you go. That was my mistake hitting that. I am using the Wii U Pro Controller for the purpose of this, which actually a little different when I did the test playthrough last night, because I was basically sitting in my room playing on the gamepad for the purpose of that, as far as the Wii U was running. Only because, like, hey, I'm there, the gamepad is over there, I need to charge it because I haven't used the Wii U in a while. But yeah, we did kill Juan. He's done. Also, one other thing is that in the Japanese version, he has cleavers he's holding, not in the US, though. But after beating him, Maki, Carlos, and Hagar learned that the Gears base of operations is now in Europe. So yeah, this is a worldwide trip as far as this. Yeah, so the final fight for the lives of Gen, Ryusai, and Rina is about to begin. Well, I don't know if a final fight... Okay, it's like Final Fantasy. It's like, it's never the final one, but we are in France now at 5 p.m. So as I said, it is just like Turtles in Time. We have that, except you don't have the voiceovers going on for announcing where you're like, Big Apple, 3 a.m. At some point, I do need to get that game. I know it costs a bit of money, but that's a game I should have in my collection. I'm going to say that right now. And it is a game I think Proto-Rover has asked me to see. Well, he's asked me to see Hyperstone Heist for Sega Genesis specifically. And it's kind of like Turtles in Time a little, but there are some differences. So in that case, yeah, I can rationalize that. And fitting, I guess, because, yeah, Proto-Rover was on the show last week for first part of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which, look forward to continuing that game as we go along through the year as we are beating up enemies on the streets of Paris. Although the enemies, I guess, to some degree, are kind of the same as you go along. There's one thing I guess to get into, although, and again, with a beat-em-up, you tend to run into that case a lot. Although you do run into Robert here. The thing about Robert is he'll jump around with the size he has, and it's really hard to avoid getting hit by him sometimes, and same with Elias, who runs around with the pipe. Although one other difference, I guess, as far as the Japanese version and the US is that Robert... There's also another character called Leon we're going to see. Or maybe we saw him... No, we saw Leon, I think, already. In the Japanese version, there were characters called Mary and Eliza. They were kind of, I guess, scantily clad women. I think they did sort of what they did with Poison with Final Fight Original, where they said, oh, they took him out of the US release. Or, fine, with Poison, they took Poison out of the Super Nintendo version. They were in some of the other ones. But at that point, like, they changed it for the US a little, but not much. Honestly, this game, from what I was reading, because I said, look, I have not played this game that much. I only played it for the first time a couple months ago because, like, first you said you want to see this. So I said, alright, fine. I want to at least understand a little what I'm talking about, sort of. And from what I saw, I didn't really see anything very specific, except for the fact that, okay, this is Super Nintendo only. This is not an arcade game. So I guess Capcom was looking at that and saying, like, Streets of Rage. They're going against Streets of Rage, so here is... their take, and that is Andore, who is, I believe, supposed to be named after Andre the Giant, the way that Andre was named in the arcade game, the first one. Keep going down the street, and again, because we have a lot as far as the beat-em-up case, like, yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here, just holding enemies and hitting shot, throwing them, punching, kicking, doing all this stuff. In some ways, I guess there's maybe not as much to talk about as far as the game as you might think, so in that case, I'll open up as far as chat's concerned. Anything you want to talk about as far as Final Fight, as far as this Final Fight game, any memories you have with it, or other entries in the franchise, or the stuff of Capcom, yeah, let it flow and we can talk about it, because as I mentioned, that I think has been what I've liked this show to be, which has been people come into the show, say like, hey, I want to see a game that you want to see, or just anything I want to show, or both of us want to see, and next week's going to be a both of us case with Gunstar Heroes. But yeah, it tends to be that kind of thing that you just come in, have this relaxing time, and just say whatever's on your mind game-wise, we can do that. So you're talking about, Capcom games of Disney's, can we see the Magical Quest games? Yeah, there were 3 of those. There was the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for the Super Nintendo, which one of the people who did the music for this game actually did the music for that. There was the Great Circus Mystery, which was on Super Nintendo, and it also was on Genesis, interestingly enough. And then they also had a third one, which I'm trying to remember what the Japanese name of it was, which was this one with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. It didn't come out on Super Nintendo here, but then they ported it to the Game Boy Advance in 2003, I think. And both those Magical Quest games came out on Game Boy Advance as well. So yeah, absolutely, I would love to take a look at those. Actually, my experience as far as those Disney Capcom games really was, of the Mickey Mouse ones anyway, were A Magical Adventure. That's the third one. Because, yeah, as I said, I think that's how they considered how it translated out, which is a weird case. You think, like, well, Great Circus Mystery and Magical Quest did well here, I guess, as far as the fact that, A, they released them here, they sold, from what I gathered, and then they ported them on Game Boy Advance. But yeah, that third one, we didn't get it. And I don't think, because here's the thing about this, because in the 90s, let's go into this as well, Capcom had the, okay, I didn't know you could jump on the barrel. Okay, that's new. Then get the giant Ondor. Also, you have the knife, which is kind of a little weird in this game, because you can only throw it, so yeah, you gotta be careful that way, and also watch out as Ondor is running towards you. But yeah, I was very surprised with that third game. Well, years later when I found out there was a third, I was like, wait a second, we didn't get this? But I don't think it was I don't know if it was a licensing case as far as Capcom, or like, did Capcom's Disney license run out by that time? Because I think it was 94 when Magical Quest, well, fine, Magical Quest 2, which is what Great Circus Mystery is, and they named it that way when they ported it to Game Boy Advance. That was 1994, so I don't think Capcom lost the Disney license. And, I mean, just think, technically they had it a while, honestly. Does only Maki jump the highest? Yeah, I think so. I believe there are jumping elements. Also, I want to take care of Elick. Yeah, because he has the tuning forks that he sets electrified, and if he touches you with them running towards you, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah, she does jump the highest, although there is a jump combo that Hagar has later, and I'll show that later, that kind of mitigates it. Also, by the way, one other thing as well, before I go back to the Disney Capcom take, or the Mickey Mouse take, I guess as far as that, is points. I believe it's first every 100,000 points, or it's 100,000 points first, and then I think every 200,000 points, and then it's a little less, you get a life. So in that case, I'm going to be maybe good as far as what's going on here. Okay, so Dolphin, you have an answer as far as the Capcom licensing thing. Disney initially lost the use of the Marvel license in 2012. I remember that because we talked that when we did Marvel vs. Capcom 2, saying the download version got delisted on the back of that. After the Walt Disney Company decided to focus on self-publishing. Yeah, because Disney does publishing under Disney Interactive. But Capcom was able to reacquire their license after Disney dissolved its console publishing division. Okay, well, thank you, because I didn't remember what the story was, and I guess in my case, asking, I guess, as far as the 90s case, because one thing I was going to say is that Capcom had the licensing for the Nintendo stuff of Disney, I guess, but then it's Great Circus Mystery as well, whereas Sega had the license for a while for their own stuff, because we played Castle of Illusion before. I mentioned other stuff of Sega's that they had the publisher rights for. I guess Capcom kind of had it for a while, and also, as I mentioned, because they ported those Magical Quest games and Aladdin to the Game Boy Advance in the 2000s. So there you go. I quoted from the internet. Well, there you go. Hey, you're on the internet watching the show, so if you're able to find some of that, adding to the show, I appreciate that. And I remember that licensing thing. I remember that came up also when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, because we were saying, like, hey, compared to some of the earlier entries of the series, like 3 and 2 and 1, you don't have some of the characters like the X-Men and things that said, like, oh, is that a Marvel Disney case? And I think it was, although from what I understand, like, the way the licensing went out was weird to that. I guess also, to go back to the Disney licensing, I guess this would be a perspective to that. There's also, I know there's a Disney Capcom game on the GameCube. There was, the Magical Mirror starring Mickey Mouse. Never played it, but that was, I think, Nintendo initially, and that also goes through the connection with Rare on the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color with, like, the Mickey Speed USA game. Here's my question. Magical Tetris Challenge is is Magical Tetris Challenge part of the Magical Quest series? Good question. Magical Tetris Challenge, actually, I was mentioning that to, actually some coworkers, because they bought Tetris Effect Connected, which I mentioned one of them was playing when we did Rise Star, and they showed me, I hadn't played it yet. I said, this game looks great, and since it's on sale this week for like under 30 bucks on Switch, I downloaded it yesterday. So yeah, the Crochet Nerd, thank you very much for that, and I'm gonna look forward to showing you that perspective when I see you in a couple days, and also when we do the stuff we got planned, including Majora's Mask later in the year. But to answer your question about that Magical Tetris Challenge game, which came out, it was an arcade game initially, from what I remember seeing, but they ported it to Nintendo 64, they ported it to PlayStation as well. It's basically a Tetris game with Disney in it, but, you know, you might have a point. I don't know off the top of my head if it is, although given that Capcom was putting that out as far as that, I wouldn't necessarily put it past them. Alright, this is Freddy, by the way. He's the boss. He does have that run thing and the knee, which hurts. By the way, also one other reference you're saying as far as Street Fighter. Yeah, Guile, right there. Up there with the hair like that. So yeah, the Street Fighter 2 perspective. Yeah, you can pick up Freddy as far as that, but yeah, he can hurt. So you gotta be aware as far as what that is. But to answer your question, I don't know, although it would make sense. Also, by the way, if you have no health left, you hit the extra fun button, do your special attack, it doesn't do anything. And in that case, I'm dead, but that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think maybe it is. I guess, although I don't know if they've explicitly stated that, or I guess to some degree, I mean, see, it's funny, for years, actually, it was not until the Game Boy Advance releases of those Magical Quest games that I even knew that Great Circus Mystery and Magical Quest were connected, although I guess I should have put it together, I guess. Although, actually, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a confession time. I never played the Magical Quest, the first one. I played, what was it? I played Great Circus Mystery. That's the only one I played, and I did play the Super Nintendo game. It was after I got Super Nintendo in the 90s. But I didn't play Magical Quest, and I remember looking and saying, like, hey, it looked like fun, and actually, now I'm looking at how they operate. I'm like, well, no, they clearly are connected, because they play very much the same, as far as, like, when you're not in your costumes. I don't think the costume case was. Although, I mean, I guess with, oh, by the way, yeah, this is usually something you want to use in this game. Basically, to go backwards and retreat, and then wait till they run towards you to kick them. It does take a while, because your kick is not necessarily that powerful in the air, whether you're, Maki or anyone else. But yeah, I guess, yeah, Freddy is running into it, so there is that good thing. I mean, I always reference the, and then he ran into my knife. I guess in that case, he's running into my foot. Oh, okay, fine. I got a little, you know, I went the wrong direction as far as that, but yeah, fine. Freddy's going down, boom. And we see the X on their head, they're dead. Yeah, maybe. I'll look into that, or, chat, if you know, is a Magical Tetris Challenge connected? Oh, By the way, I forgot about that. You do have the bonus game, like before in Final Fight 1. Bust the car down, pull the tonfa out, that tends to do most damage, but then you also hit each area of the car so it breaks. If you do it in time, you do get a nice point bonus, and it means more lives, or closer to more lives. You just hit with the tonfas, and... okay, got it. Oh, perfect, I got an extra life on top of that. And you get a perfect bonus. Unfortunately, you don't have what Final Fight Original had, which was the guy coming by and saying, "Oh my god!" But yeah, well, it's implied. Alright, we're in Holland. Yeah, these things, by the way, they are landmines. Do not touch them. But you can get the enemies to go over them, and they'll get hurt. But if you're too close, it's not going to be good, so throw them towards it. Yeah, there you go. And you get the nice animation as far as them blowing up on it. But yeah, since it went off screen, as far as that, it's not going to be much use to me. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I don't want to touch a lick again. Yeah, because, yeah, he has the electricity out. But I guess I've been having good luck. I guess not getting game over yet. And Zero just counted his life, by the way, so there's that. Yeah, I mean, chat, if you do know as far as that Magical Tetris game, let me know. And at some point I've been saying this, I do want to get a copy of that, because I do have a lot of games as far as Nintendo 64, but that is not one of the ones that I have, that I own. I played it, but I haven't owned it. Magical Quest was made by the team who made Ghosts and Goblins, as far as the specific team at Capcom who worked on that. Which would make sense, because I know that... who was it? It was Tatsuya Nishimura, who did music for this game, who did music for Magical Quest. I thought, one of the people, you know, let me look at this. Yeah, okay, there you go. I'll just, face you this way. I'll be hitting that button. Okay, it was, Mari Yamaguchi. Actually, it's fun. Thank you for mentioning that, Electverse. See, I'm looking at the paper for this. Mari Yamaguchi did the music for Super Ghouls and Ghosts for Super Nintendo and for, the Magical Quest. So, actually, I think you might have a point as far as the idea that, you know, the Ghosts and Goblins of the Super Ghouls and Ghosts team worked on it. Like, hey, it's Capcom still, but it was like what branch of Capcom was doing it. So thank you for letting me know. I didn't really know that, although now I'm thinking back to like well, fine, what I know of Magical Quest and what I know of what was it? Great Circus Mystery. See, I keep forgetting the name, even though that's the one I played. But I guess there sort of is like a style to how it sounds, so I was like, okay, fine, that makes sense. So I was like, the music, although, okay, yeah, he blew up on the mine, so that's good. But, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I guess that makes sense, although, I mean, even like, the Magical Quest, the first one, that game was pulling from Bionic Commando, actually, quite a bit, honestly. Specifically, one of the power-ups, like the, mountain climbing gear, doing, like, the, hookup, and it's actually exactly like how Bionic Commando is. I do have, one Bionic Commando game. I have, the Bionic Commando Rearmed, which was on the 360 and the PS3, which is a remake of the original. Because Capcom has not really re-released the original that much. I mean, they did a remake of it on the Game Boy Color, Elite Forces, and they also did... I think they did one on Game Boy. And then, I think there was a question that they're going to put it on Wii Virtual Console. They ended up not doing it, and I think because... they were concerned it was going to get a mature rating, because at the end of that game, by the way, if you've never played Bionic Commando, it's basically you're fighting against the Nazis in that game. And there is a image in that game at the end of it where Hitler's head literally explodes into bloody chunks. And I guess Capcom said we don't want a mature rated game on the Wii's Virtual Console, even though there is one, or was one, mature rated game up there, which was Splatterhouse 2 from Namco. But, yeah, so I mean, they didn't really re-release the original, but then that remake, the Rearmed, is kind of a lot like it, so it doesn't really change too much. So we can definitely take a look at that, and I guess any of the other ones. Let's just get that one on NES on top of that. And those Magical Quest games, and thank you for letting me know that you want to see those, so I can definitely put those in the let me take care of that. Okay, that was good that I threw the enemy right into Robert. Because, yeah, Robert tends to jump around a lot, and with the knives there, you can get yourself hurt badly. And I guess it would also fit to the perspective of, you know, the other Disney games as far as that. And also my experience, I guess, with Magical Quest 2, which is the Great Circus Mystery, and then play that other one. Although, as I said, what I'll do is... For Great Circus Mystery, do you have a preference of what version? Actually, fitting, I guess you brought this up, like, first, because I know the last episode of a show we've mentioned on this program before, Console Wars, they did a compare on Great Circus Mystery, because that was the one that Genesis got as well. Do you have a preference of what version you want to see of that one? Because Magical Quest 1 is going to be Super Nintendo. That'll probably be the easiest way to go. Though it is on Game Boy Advance as well. 2, The Great Circus Mystery, is on Game Boy Advance as well as Genesis and Super Nintendo. And the third one will be doing Game Boy Advance, because that's the only way it got released here. Unless there's a reproduction fan translation or something. But I don't know if there is one on that one. So in that case, I'll just get on the Game Boy Advance. Because I heard it's not supposed to be a bad version. Or it's not like, hey, it has concerns as far as, like, screen crunching the way that something like Mega Man and Base did as far as other Game Boy Advance editions as far as Capcom's concerned. Yeah, if you have, let me know if you have a preference on the Great Circus Mystery, what version you want to see, and we can do them. We could do any one of those. Because I know those games are actually pretty cheap. They're not expensive. So, or even if it was, like, hey, it might be something that's worth, you know, looking into. But yeah, in that case, yeah, letting the Capcom stuff go, and also the Ghosts and Goblins stuff, which I have, Ghosts and Goblins for the NES. I have it on the Wii, and I have it on the Switch Online. As well as Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is on the Switch Online as well. Yeah, we can do those, although those are insanely hard. Either one is fine. Okay. Question then... Ow. Okay, I'm glad I showed that off. If Alec, or Alec... Alec is you, Alec first, I guess, as far as that. But Alec, if he has the electricity hits you, you get shocked. Yeah, but if he just runs into you just to get hurt that way. I guess question, for the Great Circus Mystery, did you play... What version did you play? I played on Super Nintendo, but did you play any of the... Which of the versions did you play, if you're familiar with the game, as far as having actually played it? Which I guess feasibly you probably did, I guess, given that it was kind of around... That places. Also, I guess I probably should have mentioned the timer, which honestly is not really that much of a factor, honestly, going on. Because as long as you're, you know, just making forward progress, or yeah, that basically going back to, Ghosts and Goblins again, as far as that, make rapid progress, where they spell it wrong. Yeah, I guess it's, as long as you're doing that, you should be fine. Ow. Yeah, Eliza just hit me in the face. Alright, yeah, that's Leon. Alright, Leon's over there. So basically he's the other take on, Robert. Oh, speaking of which, Robert, here he is. Alright, yeah, and with, Reina, what you want, or fine, Reina's her sister, Maki is her. Or the character I'm playing. With her, you basically just want to do the hold, or do a couple punches, and then do the hold and do that. I played the Genesis version as a kid, and Super Nintendo as well. Okay, so you have experience with both of them. Actually, my experience with that is interesting. Fine, I played on Super Nintendo, but then I remember I was in college. I remember somebody saying, like, I used to play this game with, this vacuum cleaner and, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck on the or not, Mickey Mouse and, Minnie Mouse on Genesis. Like, oh, it's a Great Circus Mister, so I knew right away what that was. Like, yeah, I think that's it. It's like, I think they were amazed I knew what that was, number one. But in that case, that's how I know the Genesis version, but I didn't actually specifically play it on that. Ow. I mean, you know what? Maybe what I'll do is... I'll tell you what. I think what I'll do with that one is... When we go through those games... By the way, here's a wrench. It is not a weapon. It is points. Ow. I'm stepped. Also, one other thing I gotta be careful of... Because I'm gonna get a game over probably soon. If I get a game over, I have to go back to this... the beginning of this area. And actually, if I get to the boss here, there's gonna be a case of that. But I'll tell you what I'll do with Magical Quest. We'll cover the gamut as far as the systems, because I mentioned we're doing the Midway Arcade Treasures games. We did the first one last year, and then we're doing 2 this year and 3 the year after that, or next year anyway. And we're doing it across the 3 systems they were on. PS2 for the first one, Xbox for the second, and GameCube for third. I think we'll do the Magical Quest the same way. I'll do 1 on Super Nintendo, because I pretty much don't have a choice. Fine. 3 I don't have a choice, because it's Game Boy Advance only here. I'll do that one. 2, I'll do Genesis, and 3, I'll do Super Nintendo. So at that point, we'll cover all our bases and get a wide variety for console. So yeah, I think that'll work, and from what I understand, as far as Great Circus Mystery is concerned, it does not... The cost difference is minimal, if anything, between Genesis and Super Nintendo. So in that case, I think that's how we'll run that. I mean, that'll also be a good case of, like, the history as far as Disney stuff. And I definitely got a lot of those. At some point, as I mentioned... I do want to get World of Illusion running, but that's going to be I need to plan that one out way ahead of time so I can get my brother onto that one if he wants to do it and if he's willing. I think he would be, but it's like, well, hey, I got to plan that very specifically. But eventually I do want to mention that and make that happen sometime. We'll see. No. But for the time being, yeah, I'm having a good time as far as this, and I guess that also goes to the perspective, like, hey, these beat-em-ups, I guess, are good games to talk over as far as getting ideas of what games you want to see. Okay, also, one other thing. That's Joe. He has low health, but he drops... He drops fire, or fine, he drops Molotovs, and they burn you, and they kill me in that case, but, alright, I got an extra life. I did not even notice that. This is the boss. This is Bratkin. He comes out, and he hurts. So what you want to do is basically just hit him and retreat, and also be careful when he does that, bend thing. You kind of saw it, not completely, because he was off screen, or off, the side there. Wait, he does that, and he does a jump towards, and, okay, I got lucky kicking him in the air like that. Because that's the last part of Maki's combo, where she'll do that kick or the kick upwards. Actually, she does have a good combo game as far as the fact she does more combo hits than Carlos and Hagar do. Actually, I'll say this: if this is where I'm getting game over on to start Am, that's good because I have 6 continues. But like with Final Fight Original, you get in that case of, oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah, I'm gonna be drowned to death. But no, it's not happening. We are pulling out Carlos. As I mentioned, you start back at the beginning of the section, so. I have 5 lives. I think we should be good as far as this. It's later boss I'm concerned about. But yeah, here is Carlos, what he does. He doesn't have a special ability as far as, jumping off the wall or anything. But he does have that roll throw. There's a donut. I can get myself some food, or some health that way. Yeah, but he also has the kick combo that way, which I think... Yeah, it seems like I'm just doing the grab a lot in some cases. Is there a King of Fighters character named Maki? Maybe... I'll probably put an edit on the YouTube site version. As I said, I don't have much experience with King of Fighters. In fact, I don't think we've touched King of Fighters yet. I think we probably should fix that. Alright, by the way, that's his special attack. He does the sword out and has a good range. And as far as his power is concerned, he's a little more powerful than Maki is. And he moves a little slower, although to be honest, I'm not really noticing too much as far as it being, slow necessarily, or slower to the point of that. But yeah, you're probably right. Okay, that's Mai I'm thinking of. Well, there is Mai. I knew there's Mai, but as far as that, because I'm trying to remember the last name of Mai. I'll put the correction in the YouTube site, unless you know off the top of the head what her last name is, who's known for her being voluptuous. But for all I know, you might be right. There might be a Maki in King of Fighters as well. So, I mean, maybe so. At some point, we probably should be hitting a King of Fighters game. Which one would you want to see? I guess that's what this is turning into. It's going to be... What games do you also want to see? Which is fitting because, hey, this is a game that audience or chat you wanted to see, and we're fulfilling that. But I don't know what... Actually, since I've not really played much of King of Fighters at all, which one do you recommend? And also, fine, it's 2 questions. Which would you like to see, and which would you recommend to play first? I don't know if necessarily there's a preference or a story reason unless you're going with some of the new ones. Alright, so yeah, he is kind of killing these guys a little faster. Slight faster, anyway. Alright. Yeah, the other thing is, yeah, you could throw them into the oven. Don't ask me, I'm not sure. Okay. Fair enough. As I said, yeah, that which is fine. It's like, hey, we're filling, I guess, some of that knowledge base of, like, hey, where is this? Or, like, hey, if we don't know. Because, like, hey, as I mentioned, I don't know anything. I have little experience with it. Okay. Fair enough. As I said, I'm the same way. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up as far as the SNK stuff. Or maybe because I didn't play a whole lot of the SNK fighters. I mean, even what we showed when we did the fighting showcase, which was the same we showed on 2 and Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, I had not really played either one of those that much until we did that. But yeah, you know, we could do that again for sure. Do something like that again to get experience with some of the SNK stuff for yourselves, and I guess for me as well. So I guess it works that way. It's like, hey, if we're not familiar with the franchise, hey, we can get a perspective of what do we think of it and what do we have a knowledge of it. Because I mentioned sometimes we'll play games on the show, or I'll play games on the show, like, hey, are things I didn't really think I knew well, or really kind of discover something that you might have missed the first time, or in my case, missed the first time too, and get a sense of, hey, I really like this, I want to have more time with it. Actually, when we did the Midway collection, the first one, okay, I thought I was going to get out of that, but unfortunately I did not. You basically just want to avoid that, because sometimes Joe will come back onto the screen when that happens, but at least not here, he's not. But yeah, at that point, I think it is an interesting case that way. Ooh, alright. Okay, so we have 4 lives going into Bratkin again. Yeah, because you can pick them up and throw them. It's not like Streets of Rage, say, where like you're going to run into a case where yeah, you throw them and you get yourself hurt because they're so heavy. But some cases you kind of want to stay away. It's like, well, I also don't want to just do this the whole game. But sometimes it's effective. But also just takes a while as well. Also, the enemies, the bosses specifically have longer health bars, which are denoted by the colors there. You basically want to get them down to the yellow, and then they'll, the health bar will go down as normal. Whereas it does with the normal enemies. But you still throw enemies into them, and it still causes damage. Although, okay, I'll say this, because as I mentioned, and chat, let me know any experience you have as far as, or what's your experience with Final Fight 2, this game we're playing now, if any. In my case, one thing I'm noticing, as I said, I'll say this. I get the sense that unlike the first one, you run into the case where you notice that your attack, or specific attacks you do, are not as powerful as others. Kind of like Golden Axe a little bit, which is not necessarily a criticism so much as an observation, like, hey, like this jumping kick thing, this is not necessarily as powerful as, like, that punch-kick combo there. Or even the throws, and even then the way the throws work are a little different. So in that case, I'm noticing that enough, and I got an extra life. I thought I heard that noise, that... I guess that's a good thing I did, since I just died. Yeah, we're almost... Okay, we got him into yellow. Yeah, in some ways, you also want to look at their animation. They're like, yeah, he does that, and he does the jump, and if you can stay out of the way of his foot when he comes down, you should be good. But sometimes they'll punch out of your combos a little bit, so that can be a little weird and a little, something you have to prepare for, I guess. Alright. Now let's have him. He's not too bad. It's just, in a lot of ways, you have to kind of retreat and go after him, especially the final boss. I've realized that was the case when I did the test on that yesterday. You can do the throw, actually. Yeah, alright. That was the way to finish him off in style. Alright. We're done with Holland. We are going to England at 8 p.m. And we're going to the train yards. Yeah, I guess you could sort of see it's London. Or, I guess it's London? Maybe. I don't know. Anybody who knows geography of England, what part of England is this? Or is this intended as from... Basically just what you're seeing as far as the buildings. I mean, I guess it's not much, but it's like, well, okay, they're telling us it's London. There is the Union Jack flag there. There's me getting squeezed by... Atlas. I thought it said TJ. Oh, no. Okay, but it doesn't say TJ. It says, number 73. Okay, that's what it is. I was like, what was that? It was like TJ. I was thinking TJ Combo, but that's, Killer Instinct, something else. Which, was not out at the time this came out, because it was 93. Actually, with this one, this was after Streets of Rage 2, so it's interesting. We're kind of going ahead, and we're kind of going backwards when it comes to when we do Streets of Rage again for 2. Because 2 came out a little before this one did, and this came out, I think it was May 22nd, so actually, I guess we're coming up on the... 29th anniversary of this game. A little weird as far as the number, but I got a couple weird numbered anniversaries coming up this year of games I'm going to be playing. Alright, but there you go, do the sword thing. I guess it's interesting, I guess in this case, yeah, because we're in a trainer, we haven't really seen this setting as far as any of the beat-em-ups we played, although there is a section of Streets of Rage 3 that has the... Okay, perfect. Bread. Yeah, the food is... Here's the thing about the food. Usually the one you really want is the barbecue, because it gives you full health. The other ones, I don't know if... And chat, if you know, let me know. And I'll put a perspective to this. I don't know if the other food really is recovering your health that massively. It seems like it's pretty small. Even like the bread, it kept me alive a little longer, but not for that much longer. In this case, just keep hitting them. I do love the stuff with the voice there going like, ugh! So you do get that perspective, and it is very clear. I guess this goes to the perspective of how Super Nintendo was handling its sound, as far as it being able to handle that voice synth really smoothly. Although, then again, even Streets of Rage, yeah, you could kind of get the sense of it being... Okay, fine, we played the smooth version because we played the Sega CD port, but even then you hear the, ooh, and it still sounds clear for what the Genesis can do. Although, I guess we'll kind of get that perspective of, like, Genesis voice synth next week when we do Gunster Heroes. Which I'm definitely looking forward to, and a lot of people I mentioned I'm doing that too. All of you in the chat, but also other people I know. They're like, oh my god, I love Gunster Heroes, I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to be doing that game, both because I know chat said, hey, they want to show it, and I've said multiple times on this show, we're going to do it, and definitely cannot wait to do that. I'll just keep going back for his on-door. Actually, would you want to really watch out for him? I'll show that. Yeah, he does that little rush towards, and when he does that, he can hit you with his chest, and that can hurt a lot. But usually if you do the retreat and punch strategy, or get him into a bit of a direction, so you can kind of grab him, and then do that, and the throw, you should be set. I'm a little nervous on the boss here, I'll say that, because the boss is really hard. And in some ways, I think maybe, hold on. Okay, no, not the next boss. Actually, no, this is, no, actually, no, the next, there's only 3 levels left. Well, 2 after this one. So actually, this is not a long game, if you can beat it quick. We'll see that beating it quick part, if that happens. At least, here for this. Alright. Yeah, now we're on the top of the trains. Yeah, we are able to hold on to that. Because it goes to the... Okay, yeah, I got shocked that way. I guess fitting, because we did that with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where we had the, you know, the robot things, you know, shocking us with the, with stuff. So I guess that's part of the fight, the beat-em-up lexicon. Alright, boom, we're dead. Yeah, we'll come back. Alright. And also, by the way, when we get the next game over, I'm pulling out Hagar, and he's going to be who I'm using the rest of the game, because he's the most powerful. In some ways, I guess the idea of... Maybe... I guess here's the one thing I've also heard about this game, as far as, like, what's the reception of this compared to the other Final Fight games, or the first one, I guess, which is... I guess since there's a little bit of a mixed reaction on this one, in the sense that some people say, like, oh, it's too easy. And, well... maybe with all the continues you have, but then again, you do run out of those eventually, and on the expert difficulty, it does get really tough. And I guess I am noticing the idea of, like, what I'm having to use as far as my skills to win in ways I didn't completely on the first one, but still, I mean, of what I played, I am liking this game, for sure. It definitely has this nice style about itself, and is fun to it, as far as how it is, and it has some interesting little wrinkles. Ow. Okay, I just barely touched him. I'm realizing that now, when that happens. Like, I was just, like, right off on the side. Ow. Okay, yeah, that's what you want to worry about on Ondor Jr. or Elias or anybody else. Alright. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to get to the boss here, so... Well, fine. If I do get to the boss, I'm going to get a game over on him. I know that for a fact. Also, actually, one other thing I did notice that I probably should mention. This is also one of those games where you get a game over. I guess, actually, no, the arcade version of the original was the same way. You do not have your score reset to 0. So basically, I guess it doesn't really make much of a difference as far as, like, how that score perspective is going, and I guess also your lives. Ow. Yeah, I think we're almost to the end of the train. The one way you do know is, after we get rid of Mark here, I think there are more Joes that can come out, and you gotta avoid the fire. Alright, he's down. Like, when they beat him up, you beat up everything, you get that go arrow, you get going. Actually, one thing I didn't mention earlier, I may as well mention it now, is that this game, one thing this does a little interesting, actually, is that in a lot of cases it gives you that go arrow of not just go right, but going up and down. So you're kind of going through the level that way. Especially the last level you can see. Alright, here's all those Joes. Stay away. Let them kill themselves. Oh, yeah. Alright, so yeah, here's the thing. You don't necessarily even really need to fight them, because they're just going to throw stuff out, and eventually, yeah, you can just walk over. So yeah, there you go. They were kind of stupid to walk into a fire, but... Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of something with this boss. And I'm totally expecting to get a game over on him, and we'll go to Hagar and we'll really take care of him. This is Philippe. He's a clown guy. I guess it looks a little like, thinking of other beat-em-ups for Super Nintendo, especially licensed stuff, because we're talking about that as well. I'm thinking Batman Returns from Konami, which was set as far as with that movie. But yeah, he is tied up. But yeah, we're pulling out Hagar. We're playing as him for the rest of this. Because what he does is he moves slow, but he hurts a lot. He only has a 3-punch combo, but it does hurt. And also, one other thing you can do is you grab, you hit the jump button, hit the Y button, you just come down and do that pile driver. The other thing you also do is just pick up enemies, just walk around with them and throw them in. So it does help a bit. Ow. We still get shot. Actually, I realize I think it's the same animation regardless of who gets shocked. But either case is fine. Yeah, he does make this game a lot easier just because of the fact he's causing more damage on things. So yeah, there you go. Fitting, I guess, yeah, we're bringing Hagar out because he is the main character. Well, I guess he's the main character, sort of, really, in the series. Actually, he's the only one who's in all 3 of these. Oh, actually, I don't remember if he's in... Because of the other... Because I know, like, first you're asking, say, like, what the other games of this franchise. I said there's this one, there's Final Fight 3, there's Mighty Final Fight on NES, which is actually kind of a remake / parody of the first one, so there is a reason to play it, even though we played the original. And then there's also Final Fight Streetwise, which I don't know if Hagar was even in Final Fight Streetwise, and I don't have it, and I realize it's actually more expensive than I thought. Not massively, but it's something that's like a $40, $50 game for that Xbox version, which is how I'd run it. So if you want to see that one, which is supposed to be awful, it's going to be a little bit of money. And the only other one I don't know if I can make a promise on is Final Fight Revenge on the Sega Saturn, which is actually the last game to ever come out on that system. It's a game that goes for well over $400 now. I think it's like $500 last I saw. It was the last game on the Saturn. It came out in Japan only in the year 2000. And it's worth pointing out that that came out after the PlayStation 2 had already launched in Japan. So at that point, it's like, yeah, there was one more Saturn game that Japan got, and it was that one. And it's a fighting game. It's actually, from what I understand, it's not like this. And actually, in that case, you can play as Maki, and I believe you can play as Carlos in it. I think, but if that's wrong, I'll put a correction. I've not played it, but I've heard, I guess, sort of weird things. From what I understand, it actually is a lot like the Street Fighter EX franchise in the sense that it's a 3D game, or it's a 3D fighting game, like that, or like Tekken, or like with Virtua Fighter or something like that. Yeah, I think, I guess, except for maybe Streetwise, I guess Hagar's been in every single one. But alright, let's take Philippe down, and with 5 lives, should be fine. And in some ways, that's one I've noticed also, is you kind of have to, I guess, sponge lives up to a degree, I guess, except maybe I'm not fighting the bosses effectively. Well, the thing with Philippe that's really tough is that he has the baton he hits you with, and that can hurt, and also he does that grab. He has the slide, so it's like the Y signals in Streets of Rage, actually, like that. I think he's the only enemy in the game to do that. So at that point, it's like, yeah, that's where it gets tough. Although, with Hagar bringing him to the battle, yeah, he causes more damage, so that can mitigate things. Although that's not to say that this game isn't unbeatable if you play as the other characters, because I got pretty far just with Maki, and she's supposed to be the weakest character as far as power, but you can mitigate that by using smart strategy. So yeah, there is strategy to this still, so it's not like, yeah, you know, like, oh, there's, it's cheap or anything. It's not. Definitely not. So, in that case, that. Alright, we got Philippe down. Okay, and it kills his henchman. I did not know that. Alright, there you go. I took care of him really quickly. Because of... oh, we're not done? Oh. Yeah, sometimes you have to wait for the cutscene to trigger. Also, you have the next bonus game. You have to bust the drums if there's not fire on them, otherwise you get yourself hurt. This is hard to get through because there's a lot of them, and you basically just have to jump to get to the next one. Or don't do that, what I just did. We'll see if I can get through this. I don't know if I can. Actually, in some ways, this kind of reminds me of when we did one of the very early games I have a record of, Animaniacs for Super Nintendo, where we're in that Terminator area, and I'm busting the oil drums. Oh. Yeah, I guess we're going across, I don't know, London Bridge? Yeah, we're not getting this. And also, if you get a time over on this, I don't think you get the points that you built up, so that's fine. You might need to be Maki to really get through that easily. Right, we're going to Italy next. Okay, and I can definitely tell this is Italy, Venice, specifically, because we're by the canals. And also you have the Venetian, you know, structures here that are in the background that way. Alright. Yeah, same as before, just beat stuff. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I'm having a good time as far as this is that it also makes it a good game, I guess, to talk over, just of the fact of like, hey, you're seeing what I'm doing. It's just about the new locations and the new bosses. Well, actually, in the case of this level, we are going to get a boss that look a little familiar if you remember Final Fight Original or Final Fight 1. I guess we'll just call it that. I think it's the only boss that is carried over from that game. Because, yeah, we sent the one out the window, which was death at the end of the last game. And every other one, I guess, we didn't see them again, at least not in this one. Maybe in 3. I played a little bit of 3, just to go into that, I guess, to give a preview when we do it. It's... One thing about 3 that's actually kind of interesting. There are some interesting little mechanics it adds. One thing is that they actually give you a button to... Because you're seeing, like, here, I'm going left and right, and I'm changing my direction as far as where I'm facing. They give you an option. I think you press the L or the R button in that one. You could choose... You can basically hold it and face the same direction, so you can kind of go backwards and then decide to, you know, just focus on your enemies that way. And honestly, for a beat-em-up, that seems like an interesting idea. And also, the other thing I also noticed is that they have button combinations in that game, so they were actually really cross-fertilizing with Street Fighter by that point, because basically you do the Hadouken move, and you hit the Y button. And it is weird, because you're in a beat-em-up like this, where you're moving up and down like this, but if you do it, you get little special moves there that can actually help out. And I don't remember if it's a case where you lose health for doing it, or if there's another button for it, because it's been a little bit of time since I played a little of 3, because I bought all 3 of these. This, Mighty Final Fight, and 3, when I was asked to do these. And so I played a little bit just to get a sense of, like, what is it? And I remember seeing that and seeing, that was pretty interesting. Actually, that'll be interesting when we get to Streets of Rage 3 as well, because I guess that's what Final Fight 3 and Streets of Rage 3 really had in mind, which was, okay, first 2 games are going around beating things up with the moves and the variety that we have, that you're seeing here, and we'll see when we do Streets of Rage 2 as well. But and Streets of Rage 3 is the same way. You have, like, a lot of button combinations for things. Streets of Rage 3 had support for the 6-button controller. It also had support for the activator, which basically was this massive... I'll put a picture of this in the YouTube site for this if you're not familiar with what that is. This octagon sensor controller, you put your whole body into it, and you punch or kick through, like, the light beams on the sides in order to move around or do button presses. And it works very, very, not well. Actually, I bought Nocturne, who was on, for Christmas Nights for the chat portion of that, and then also when we did Mega Man Legends, and we'll go back to that next month. I bought her one of those for, Christmas, because she's like, hey, I'd be curious to see what this is like. I remember the experience of just trying to set that up. I didn't tell her I'd gotten it yet, but then I said, I just set it up in my place. I remember because actually, the only game I actually have that has support for it actually is Streets of Rage 3, as far as on the Genesis itself, because they basically give you options as far as hitting the switches around, basically make it, I guess, more conductive to play. But I remember I said, like, you know, let me play other games with. Let me play Sonic and Knuckles with this. Let me see how that plays. Yeah, it was a laugh and a half trying to get that thing running, just to see, like, get Knuckles or Sonic to move. It was like, yeah, they weren't really moving that much. But eventually, when I did get it working, it was actually kind of a great experience. But, yeah. I guess there's a reason why the activator is not necessarily that remembered. But point is that for the beat-em-up stuff with Final Fight and Streets of Rage, I guess Capcom and Sega, they were looking and saying, like, hey, can we put, you know, more mechanical depth with moves and, I guess, peripheral usage in the case of Streets of Rage. And Streets of Rage 3 also used the 6-button controller. So, in that case, I think that's where they're really going with, I guess, elevating beat-em-ups for 1994 for Streets of Rage 3, and I think it was 1995 for for Final Fight 3. I think, oh, yeah, so I see the light there. You just keep an eye on, like, when the light goes on. I think it's random when he turns it on. Although one thing that would be interesting, like, if he shook rubbed the two together and then they got into electricity state, but no. In this case, just keep kicking him. Although, as I said, I want to try and do the triple combo on him if I can. Maybe just wait till they get on the screen. Okay, there you go. Although I think... I also do want to see something else, which is... Okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to do that. I was thinking when the light goes off. I think it goes off either when he hits you with it, or if he tries to go after you and he misses. Alright, next we are going on ship. Yeah, in this case, you also get a 2x4 and you get barbecue. So I'm going to use the barbecue, because here's the thing. If I don't get that when I'm done here, I just walk off and I can't get it. So at least get it now, so I'll have some kind of thing. And you know what? Let's use his special attack right there. It's that spinning punch thing, which I think is kind of something he had in the first game, sort of. I don't know if it's exactly the same, or I don't remember if it's exactly the same, because yeah, we did Final Fight 1 last year. And when you see it on the YouTube site, I would recommend that one. That was a fun one. Another Electverse recommended case, and a good one. And also, you're seeing the flickering of the polygons, although then again, Okay, that's probably why there's only 3 enemies on screen at once for this game, because of the fact of how, I guess, how large the characters are. I mean, I guess that's the other thing as far as what this is doing as far as Super Nintendo's concerned. But just the idea of, yeah, you gotta be... There's a lot of memory they have to manage for the purpose of getting that running. Yeah, I think this is the last enemy I gotta beat on the elevator. Actually, this is an interesting case of a, I guess, a closed-in elevator, but actually fitting, because we're gonna run into the boss we saw in the elevator in the original final fight, up on the tower here. This is Rolento. They have him spelled as Rolent for some reason. But yeah, he does the same thing as before. He rolls around, and he has the spear, and he jumps off the wall, so be careful that way. And he has the throw there, which is not a good thing when you get hit by that. He also has a lot of health, so yeah, this is the case of this. Good news, though, is if I die to him and get a game over, we start back here again. But feasibly, I do want to try and avoid that, because I don't want to use many more continues. Well, then again, I have like 4 left, or 3 left, so I think we should be good. Alright, fine. Yeah, just keep grabbing him and hitting him. Oh, I get stabbed. But when I get him down to yellow, like I'm at, that's where this gets a little harder. Or fine, it gets a lot harder. Okay, that's the other thing when he does the jump off the wall. Actually, he's doing the thing Maki's doing, or Maki can do. Or grabbing me that way. Okay, weird. Alright, fine. I did get game over. We are going to still be using Hagar for this, though. So, yeah, in this case, it's not like the original where we're trying to blow out the dynamite. But, yeah, we are, I guess it's probably worse because we're tied up to, I guess, a flooded basement or something. And then we could feasibly drown, which would probably be worse. As far as, like, at least if you're exploding, you know, in the first games, like, hey, at least you're gone quickly. Whereas in the other one, you have to, you know, go through the experience of dying by drowning. Ew. I'll be back, take a nice shower. Okay, sounds good. We'll definitely be here fighting and beating the game. I'll tell you, probably what's going to happen is that, just to give you an idea of this, I'm probably going to beat it the first time of this, but as I said, I'm going to try the expert mode. I'm going to try and see if we can beat it. And if we can't, then I'll put an edit in the YouTube site to show the full ending. But in the meantime, yeah, go do that, and I'll see you a little bit. In the meantime, yeah, let's just keep punching Rolento. Yeah, they call him Rolent in this game. First I said, wait a minute. He looks like a character from the first one. I realized, wait a minute, no, he's the same. But they didn't name him that way, so I don't know if there's a translation case or what. But I guess feasibly then, there mustn't really have been that much of a, I guess of a, chronology case in this franchise, because there's only 2 games at this point. Oh, well, oh no, well, actually, okay, I don't remember if Mighty Final Fight came out before or after this. But either point is, there was not a whole lot of, Final Fight stuff going on. Okay, now we got him yellow. Here's what he does when he gets in yellow territory. He starts throwing grenades, which he did in Final Fight Original. But yeah, the thing is that he keeps doing this pattern. He'll keep running up on the railing like that and jumping there, so you don't have a whole lot of time to hit him, and the grenades will hurt you. And he throws them out towards you as well, so that's the other case. You have to basically have to wait until he gets into the foreground there, and we'll hit him. Or try to hit him. Actually, honestly, this is the part of it that's hardest, and you could feasibly get a game over just on this alone. Or it's take a little bit of time to try and get him into an area, and you just get ready when he comes down. That's the easiest way to do it, but yeah, you can still get hit by the grenades, and it's not a fun time. If you just look at his shadow, the good news is when he comes down that way, I don't believe it hurts you as far as, like, jumping down like that. So, I mean, there is strategy here, so it's not like, oh yeah, you're doing beat 'em up, and it's like, oh, it's mindless. No, ow. Because I guess that's another thing we can go into, which is the idea that beat 'em ups tend to be seen as a mindless game, and I guess, I don't know, am I contributing to that by saying, hey, I'm talking about everything under the sun except the game? But, as I said, we talked about the game. I'm still talking about the game, so maybe not. Okay, yeah, I want to get out of the way, because I don't want that to explode. Ow. I don't want to get a game over here and do this again. Because I almost have him. Alright, yeah, or do that. If you do, like, the jump kick, that can get him, too. That's probably the more reliable way. One more hit. I think one more hit. Come on. No. Yeah, sometimes he's not on the same plane as me, so that makes it hard, too. Alright. I got him. Awesome. Perfect. Great. Alright, that's round 5. So as Rolento laid on the ground, he told her 3 hears something shocking. You must travel back to Japan where Master awaits you. You also find Gen Ryusai and Reina. Beware, my master is the most powerful man in the world, and you cannot be defeated. Or he cannot be defeated. You will die. Ha ha ha. Alright, here we are in Japan. Alright, so yeah, this is the last stage, but this is the longest. Enjoy the nice sets, and also the landmines are back. But just like before, you can throw your... Well, fine, throw them towards it, because yeah, you can't throw them onto it. They have to be standing up in order to get hit by them. And then walk over them. As I mentioned, use that to your advantage, because that will hurt them pretty badly. It also hurt you badly if you hit them, so avoid that too. Alright, yeah, they're getting in my way. Yes, we'll just do that. Yeah, this is why I play as Hagar. And here's the other thing, as I mentioned also earlier, which is that I said if I run into a case where I don't beat this level, I do have a save state lined up at the end of the game for my practice from last night. So at that point, I'll be able to do it. But I think we should be good as far as how we're doing this. Yeah, just keep beating guys up and keep having a fun time. Ow. Yeah, I'm just trying to get some stuff out here and also get us into, like, can I have a drink of my water now? Because in this case, I can't really take as much of a break, either. But fair enough, like, hey, I'm supposed... Oh, right, their mines there. I gotta avoid that. I just barely saw those. Alright, sorry, I gotta have a drink. I can also show one other thing as while I'm doing that, which is that you can hold and walk around with the enemies. The thing is, they will eventually break out if you don't toss them, or do what I should be doing, which is that jump hit, which I think that does more damage, but I'll look back on the playback to see how that's looking. Alright, Endori. Oh, wait, you know what? I should throw him into that. Okay, I did hurt him a little bit. Now we're going in here. Alright, now we are going into the garden, and as I mentioned, this is where we're also going to see the go thing of not just going to the right and going down, but also going up. Which I did like that. I think that's kind of unique as far as that perspective. Alright. And in the meantime, as we're walking towards the boss, which is Retu. You saw him in the opening cutscene. Yeah, let me know anything else you got as far as what you're seeing, or anything else you got as far as gaming, Capcom, this franchise, or anything else. Alright. Just keep hitting stuff and having a good time. Also, it looks just weird when I'm doing that. Okay, fine, he's doing a headbutt. I was like, wait a second, it looks like he's eating them. It's like, yeah, he's not that hungry, I guess. Like, well, yeah, Hagar is a big guy, but then again, yeah, it probably wouldn't be good for his, you know, mayoral position back in Metro City. Like, imagine the headlines like, yeah, Mike Hagar, you know, eating people. But yeah, yeah, that's not a factor then. Actually, I guess to go one thing as far as Hagar is concerned. He's been in the Street Fighter games. I also mentioned this when we did Final Fight 1. He's also in this game, and game I definitely want to... I think I probably should take a look at this, because I heard it's really good. A game called Saturn Night Slam Masters, which is on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, which is a wrestling game from Capcom, kind of... Actually really kind of fast-paced, kind of like a Street Fighter, kind of like this to a certain degree. And Mike Hagar's in it, actually. So that's an interesting one from what I understand. And it's one that people sometimes talk about, but don't always. Alright, and that's game over. Alright. Alright, I got 3 credits. So, alright, as long as I can beat this with the 2 continues I have, I think we should be good. But I said, if I get in trouble, I have a save state, and I'm going to use it if I have to. I hope I don't have to, but if I have to, I have to. Because this is a long stage. Oh, no! Yeah, I saw him coming, and I wanted to avoid that, but I didn't. Ow. Yeah, that was not nice. Every meeting with my so-called superior is a humiliating kick to the crotch, which is clearly what happened to him. But, like, yeah, I'm not reacting to that specifically as far as, like, that perspective. Now, that'll actually be, actually in May, when we do, Midway Arcade Treasures 2, because Rampage World Tour is in that game. I do love the fact they actually have a specific animation for when you kick your teammate, and they'll actually grab their crotch in pain. And it's kind of great, just the fact that, hey, they thought, hey, let's animate this. Yeah, it'll be another one of those smorgasbord episodes, which I'm realizing now, I guess the perspective is that I guess it's going to be the weekend after Thanksgiving and the weekend before Memorial Day, where we're going to have the showcase shows specifically. But hey, if you want to see showcases of something, let me know and we can do them. And I'll be happy to do them. Actually, I think we're going to try and do that as well. Because I mentioned Nocturne coming up on the program again for continuing Mega Man Legends. At some point, we did want to do Mega Man X3 and Mega Man X4 from Saturn. And I think we were thinking to do those both at the same time. And since we had the tech stuff figured out and the scheduling stuff hopefully figured out, I don't know, we ran into a bit of a case of that last year. So hopefully that won't happen again. And hopefully that won't happen with Protorova. And I'll have to get with him in a little bit later, just to get a sense of when we do part 2 of Ocarina of Time next month. But point is, like, yeah, we should be able to get that happening. In that case, we can do 2 games at once. Actually, I've done that with a couple stuff, so in that case, I'd be fine with that too. Alright. No! Yeah, I just wanted to try to jump out of the way of Alec, but yeah, he keeps doing that. It isn't just a case of, like, hey, attacking me. Okay, well, actually, no, I'm realizing there. He has a... Okay, it makes sense as to why he's doing it. He has a battery on the side. Actually, I never really noticed that detail until just now. Thinking maybe if I've been playing this game my whole life, yeah, I would notice. Alright, but yeah. Oh, okay, that was bad luck, Atlas doing the shake. Because, yeah, the shake can hurt. Even to a big guy like Hagar can really hurt. Is he dead? Okay, no, he's not, because I didn't see the X. Alright, here we go. Now we're going up. Do love the idea that, yeah, we're going up. It's like, hey, it doesn't seem like it's much, but hey, these little stuff for the beat-em-ups do make it interesting that way. It's like, hey, usually always go right, never go up or down. Or, hey, if you go left, it's like, hey, that'd be an interesting case. It's like when we had Sonic 2 8-bit, where you went to the goal, or to the panel on the left. So it's like in the Gimmick Mountain Zone. I was like, what is this madness? I'm so used to the other way. I mean, sometimes I guess you take some of these conventions as far as gaming or a genre for granted, and then you realize, wait a second, with something different, you're kind of shocked. Like, wait a minute, I never really thought before that, you know, you wouldn't have this. But yeah, as I mentioned, Hagar definitely has his wrestling skills here, and yeah, we were causing trouble. Okay, you can also grab them, because like, I was thinking maybe they're too big to do that, but no, not for Mike Hagar, they're not. Well, maybe I should just keep doing this. Like, hey, it is cheap, and it takes a while, but it is effective. Just keep doing the kick. Okay, I got a life. Good. Yeah, see, now I'm tuned to hear that thing. Is like, yeah, that sound, I realized that. Like, okay, now I know that's a life. Actually, here's the weird thing also, I'll say as far as some of the research is doing in this game. I actually looked at a PDF of the instruction manual. Because this is not one of those Wii U Virtual Console games that has the manual digitized. There's some that are, but mostly the Game Boy Advance and DS stuff. But I was looking into that saying, like, hey, is there, like, a pattern for the points? And I couldn't find one, even in the manual. So it was very weird to that. But it was like, yeah, I think it's, like, every 200, 300,000 points, give or take, you get a life. In this case, I have 1,000,000 points, but it also goes the fact that, hey, it didn't go down when I get a game over, which actually, Final Fight Original worked that way, too, so it makes sense. Or Final Fight 1. You can say Final Fight Original 1, the original Final Fight, or just Final Fight. It's either way. It's implied. It's the first game of the franchise I'm talking about whenever I say that, just to give an idea. Oh, yeah, I didn't even see him, just came running me off screen, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, just keep punching him. You just also time it so you know when they get up, so then you can hit him again. Yeah, not too much going on as far as that, but yeah, we are going to get to the final boss and hopefully beat him, and then I'll see how Expert goes. Only because I would like to show off the full ending if I can, but yeah, I don't know. It might end up like the Super Mario Land Expert thing. But yeah, I'm willing to do that because, as I said, this is kind of a short game anyway. As I mentioned, whenever it comes to a game, whether it's a game I've played or not, or a game that chat wants to see, I want to give it the full look, and we're definitely giving this the full look, and I'm glad for that, and for Relic vs. recommendation. Alright, come on, guys. Okay, fine. Maybe this is the boring way of watching this. But it's like, yeah, alright, fine. It's working for now. Especially because I'm gonna die if I don't do anything else. I could use some food right now. Or, yeah, just getting hit by Robert and, what's his name? Leon. Yeah, but of course we are getting towards, I guess, the idea of Guy's master. Or where he is. Yeah, he is in the Japanese, Shinto temple. Or the Japanese shrine, I should say. We're not at the Shinto temple perspective yet. So So in that case, I guess it goes for the perspective of what's going on with the story, which, as I mentioned, is kind of sort of the same as the other one, or the first one. Except it's more about different characters. It gets expanding the scope out. So yeah, we're on a worldwide tour this time, as opposed to just sticking in Metro City like we did in the first game. Alright, there we go. We're going inside. He's jumping on the deck and then kicking his way through. Oh, right, that's Guy. By the way, if you get Guy, I think that's a life. At least I think it is. I'll look back on the video and correct that if it's wrong. But, yeah, I think this is the only place you see that. Outside of that, I don't think I ever saw that. Except here, I was doing the practice on this yesterday. I know there are a lot of enemies in here. As I mentioned, the fact that there's only 3 on the screen, you can use that to your advantage to sort of count what's going on and manage yourself a little bit more. But the other thing is that when you kill one, another one will come on if you're in an area where there are multiple enemies. Alright. You do get the names of the enemies as mentioned earlier, but it's like, yeah, just keep punching them and keep going till we get to the end, which you're not too far from, honestly, now. Ow! He keeps giving me that shake, yeah. That is probably the worst thing the enemies can do outside of the bosses, you know, with their patterns and things. But at least with the Guy symbol, we do have another life. Or actually, I guess maybe there might be a little bit of an in-joke on terminology of lives and one-ups, because sometimes in the 90s, I know people called lives free guys. Actually, there was a movie about that last year called Free Guy. So, like, that's probably the idea. I picked up a free guy. The guy, his name is Guy in this game, so yeah, it probably is, like, the joke there from Capcom. It's feasible also when we get to the credits, which are sort of gag credits. We don't have the people's actual names. I mean, I guess that goes to one thing, I guess a little bit about this series to a certain degree, is that in some ways it does kind of have a little bit of a lighthearted... Okay, no, it definitely does. The thing with beating up the cars for the bonus stage. That definitely shows a little bit of a lighthearted perspective on top of the idea, like, hey, it's taking it seriously, the perspective, like, yeah, I have Mike Hagar here, you know, grabbing guys and just tossing them down. And also the idea, like, hey, he wants to save these people. So in that case, it has a nice balance as far as the tone, so there is something to be said about that. Until we get to Final Fight Streetwise, where they said, well, you know what, let's take a game that had nothing to do with Final Fight to start. Let's homage Fight Club in it for some reason, and let's give them a mature rating and have them say fuck all the time. Which, hey, I don't mind that if there's a reason for that in the game. It was like, yeah, for Final Fight, no. I'm like, no, that seems like it's too much. Or it's like when Yakuza first came out on the PlayStation 2, where it's like, yeah, they're saying it constantly, and it's a massive turn-off only because it seems like it's not realistic anymore. And we realized that when the Japanese remake, the remake of it, Yakuza Kiwami came out, you realize, like, no, they're not swearing that much. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not saying, like, no, this is a family show. Wait, it's not really. I mean, look, I'll say that as far as that, it's not a problem with that. But it was like, hey, for Final Fight Streetwise, they're doing it too much. They clearly, like, hey, this is taking it somewhere it doesn't fit. Especially compared to the Warriors, which came out the same time, around the same time by Rockstar. Which, like, okay, I get that one where they're swearing all the time, and it's a really good beat-em-up. Actually, it was kind of taking the Final Fight take, honestly. And that's a good one I could feasibly show, but I would A, need to get a copy of it, and B, I don't know if there's a licensed music case. There might be. Actually, it is based on a movie, so I don't know how that would work either. Alright. Yeah, we're just gonna beat these guys and then go up the stairs. This is getting close to where we are at the end. You really just have to go through the temple and go up the stairs, and then that's gonna be all we need to do. And you see the nice attention to detail on the outside, where I guess it's a lightning storm, where there's flashes out there. Oh no! Yeah, see, I always see him, you know, pulling the tuning forks out, ready to shock me, and I'm not getting out of the way in time. Yeah, I almost have him. We're almost there. Honestly, I'm a little more nervous only because of the fact that there's not unlimited continues in this, and also because there's no codes to help me out if I get into a jam. Oh no, Joe! Alright, fine, they killed themselves, I'm glad about that. Alright, here's the other thing. Also, if you pick them up and you throw them, when they drop on the ground, they will drop a Molotov, so don't get in the area when that happens. Also, one other thing, I guess, is when you die, it's not like Streets of Rage, or... Actually, I don't remember if Final Fight 1 did this, but where the enemies will fall down their backs and give you a little bit of time to, manage things. That was incense, by the way, as far as the item, it's points. And I might be close to another life, I hope, because I'm at 0 case, and I don't want to get into that again if I can avoid it. Oh, no. Yeah, Leon does the jump. That's always the hardest part to avoid. You slam into the ground. That's the way to go. And just do the jump kick. I think I'm just going to do that so I can survive. At least until Leon does. Because at least Andor Jr. I can kind of sort of prepare for that. You just do that jump thing where it's like, yeah, doing the downward thing. Yeah, if you jump in the air, by the way, with Hagar, you hit down and then hit the Y button, you will do that, like that fall thing like that. Otherwise, you do the kick. Alright, come on. You know, I'm just gonna do it the safe way because I don't want to die. I just hope there's health coming up. Alright. No, there's not. There's just more enemies. Alright, there's Mike. Also, the other thing is the enemies have more health. As we go on... Oh, crap, I'm dead. Alright, got 2 continues. I mean, this is the last hallway, I believe, before the final boss. So, I think we should be okay. And actually, if you follow a pattern, and I'll remember to follow it when I go to the final boss actually is not too bad at all. You have to know what the pattern is, and actually took me a little time to find it out. And actually, that save state I showed you that I'll use in case of emergency, I did use that to go back and try again. Because, like, yeah, otherwise we'd have to play the whole game over again, and there are no codes to help. Yeah, just let Joe kill himself. Or kill themselves. Like, all the Joes are dying here, killing themselves. Till the one runs into my hands, you know what? Just throw him over there. At that point, the Molotov is off screen. Alright. Also, yeah, the other thing about Leon and Robbers, they do have weapons on them. But honestly, the jumping thing is going to be the problem more than anything for you. Of what I've noticed so far playing this. Also, one other thing is, this also isn't like Streets of Rage, where when we played Streets of Rage, I said, you know, you can do that trick where you just do the punches and then stop and then do them again. This one, you actually can't. You have to actually wait a little longer to do it. So you can't really, you know, spam just the punch, do it once. Because yeah, if you do it like this, yeah, you'll eventually just do the third one eventually, or in that case, I wait a little longer, and then I didn't. So it's another thing to keep in mind. Yeah, like that, right there. I did the 2 punches, but I couldn't just, you know, not do the third one to slam him down. Alright, we almost have him, but I do want to get to the end of the hall so we can get to the final boss. Yeah, but that's the problem with him. He'll block. Yeah, Joni will block. I guess it's Joni. Oh, actually, I think... Did I get a life right before I died? Maybe I didn't. Ow. Oh, yeah, I should probably use that a little more, just since I'm getting surrounded. And that as well, though I don't know if that's actually hurting more than just the grab I do. Whoa. But I'm already dead, no. Alright, but yeah, the enemies are definitely going to keep coming as far as this... Oh, crap! I knew it was going to get up, I couldn't avoid that. Oh, damn. Alright, yeah, you don't want to do that. I definitely showed what not to do, which is getting yourself surrounded. Even with just 3 enemies on screen at max, you can still get yourself into trouble. Yeah, enough's enough. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Alright, well, there's health, but I'm not going to use it until I'm almost dead. Oh. Actually, because, yeah, this is the last, section before we go into the final boss. Yeah, with a lot of Ondors that come in here for the purposes. G Ondor and, normal Ondor. And Atlas with the blocking. Damn you with the blocking, my friend. Ow. Okay, there you go. Fine, that's fine. I picked up the barbecue there. You know, if I really want to be cheap about it, just do this. Like, hey, I'll say this. I guess the one thing I guess you could feasibly knock this game for is that unlike Final Fight 1, you get into a case where, yeah, you can feasibly just use those things to, I guess, spam it. And you have to kind of wait, because you have to wait till they come back on screen. There's that to be said, although, honestly, it's not too bad. It's just something that is a little more noticeable. Oh, yeah, more flickering. Yeah, we should almost have it. And then we do have one continue going into the next, part of this, so that should be fine. Alright, we got it. Alright, so in we go. Alright, here we are. This is the final boss. This is, Ray 2. Oh, fine. There's Ray 2 behind. And there is our master, and there is, Reina. Or, fine, Guy's master. Alright, here's how you handle, Retu. He'll do the spinning kick thing. You'll see that. You can also pick him up. What you want to do is you want him to, when he comes up, he'll do a jump like that, and he'll sort of stop. So do a 3-hit combo on him. And if you can reach him well enough, he won't move, and he won't do a spin kick, because that's the thing that hurts the most. Or if he's too close, he will hit you, so don't get too close. With that, and yeah, you can just reach enough like that, you can survive. As long as you do that, you should be fine. At least on normal, you'll do that. As far as everything else, I don't know. He'll also do a spin kick, and that can hurt badly if I let him do it. And he has a lot of health, but fair enough because he's the final boss. Yeah, that's the spin kick, by the way. You don't want to get hit by that because it hurts badly. Also, the other thing is, if you hit him with one of the punches when he's in the air, he'll fall down, so there's that. So you do want to hit him with the 3-punch if you can do it. Yeah, with this, you should be okay. Just keep distance enough and you should be okay. Or do that, come down to him that way so you can grab him. Yeah, usually you don't want to just go and get him, honestly. Kind of just let him come to you. Alright, almost got him. Yeah, I just want to do it carefully, because, like, hey, if I get a game over, I have to start this part of it again. Not the hallway, thankfully, but I do have to start this. So I'll avoid that if I can. And then we'll try how the expert can go, if I can do it. Alright, well, at least I got to show what getting kicked by that looks like. Yeah, we almost have him. He is going to go down. Ow. Yeah, but see, he also has the strong reach on the punch, so yeah, if you're not careful, he's done. Alright, one more hit, we got him. Got him, right out the window. So it's just like when we killed Belger before. Yeah, we're sending them out the window same way. Alright, we did it. That's round 6. And we saved them. Daddy, Reina. Alright, so, Maki's very happy. Oh, Maki, I'm so happy to see you. Must have had a hard time finding us. Well, not too hard finding them. That, by the way, is the only part of the ending. There's more of it, and we'll see if we can see it. If we can't, I will put an edit in when I put this up in 2 days. But alright, so for now, that is Final Fight 2. A bit short. Well, fine. It's a beat-em-up, so of course it's a short game. At least this era it is. But it does have a nice style to itself. Some good music from, yeah, people not named. Bun Bun, Mari, Yuki, Setsuo, Yuko, and Anie. But as I mentioned, that is Yasuki Fujita, Mari Yamaguchi, Yuki Iwai, Setsuo Yamamoto, Yuko Takahara, and Tatsuya Nishimura, who did the music. Alright, that is the end, but as I said, what we're going to try to do, we'll see that, yeah, because this is what they tell you, challenge the other mode, yeah. If you ever played a Konami game in the 90s, you're probably familiar with this. I like the way you described it as a beat-em-up. Well, I mean, that's kind of what it's called, I guess, or what they call these kinds of games. I mean, you could also say a brawler, I guess, but people tend to call it that. In fact, Capcom even gave credence to that when they made the Capcom beat-em-up bundle, which is on Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox One, where they released a bunch of games, well, a bunch of games in this style. They called it the Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. I guess that's just like the name it came up. But, I mean, it's technically a brawl. You could say it's a fighting game to a certain degree in the sense you're going around fighting enemies. But that's kind of how, I guess, they went with the name. Or it's like we did the Flight Shooter Showcase a couple years ago. I mean, technically those can be called shoot 'em ups or shumps, as they are sometimes. So it seems like it kind of varies as far as like what it is. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe in my case, like, fine, because I'm going around beating up enemies. I guess that's why I just kind of then gravitate to that wording for it. But yeah, alright, we gotta do the other mode. We're gonna try to do the other mode. We'll see how this goes. Because if you ever played a Konami game in the 90s, or some of the Capcom stuff, then you'll know that a lot of cases, actually the Turtles game does this too. So we do Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time whenever I get those. Yeah, we're going to have to do this for those games. And when we do Rocket Knight Adventures, I am dreading that. But we'll see how that goes. I'm learning the lingo. Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, there's not to say, like, hey, my lingo is the 100% correct one. Like, hey, some people will say different things to that. I mentioned, like, the concept of a life or a one-up or a free guy, as it was. So in that case, it's anything. All right, we're trying this on Expert. We'll see how this goes. The main difference on Expert really is, and actually all the difficulties really are the damage output. And we're playing Hagar. And also the enemy health bars. Alright, so we've seen this whole game already. So yeah, anything you want to talk about, anything, whether it's more discussion of what the genre is, or other games like this, other aspects of franchise, other aspects of Capcom, or, since I mentioned Konami, or any other companies, let me know. We can go into it, because I mentioned we're playing the whole game again. Which, okay, actually, for Capcom, I guess it makes sense because, well, two things. One, when we did Final Fight last year, I did play it through twice, actually. Actually had another game in between that, because that Final Fight Double Impact Collection had Magic Swords. We played that. And on top of that, also, with Capcom, there are a lot of games of Capcom's. I mentioned Ghosts and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins is a game of Capcom's, and Lickfors was mentioning it too. But, yeah, in that game, you have to beat the whole game, and then you have... Okay, actually, well, here's the thing. Ghosts and Goblins, the first one on NES. That was also arcade. You have to beat the game very specifically the first time. You need to have a specific weapon at the final level, otherwise you go back 2 levels. And you have to do that in order to get it. Then you beat the game, and then it says that no, it didn't count. You have to beat the entire game all over again. And only then, when you beat the game the second time, including with that thing where you have to have that shield item, otherwise you go back 2 levels at the end of the game, only then do you get the final ending. So, technically, I guess we're doing that this way, but I don't want to... Yeah, because I want to use the barbecue, but I don't want to... I want to get some enemies on screen. Alright, I guess I'm not going to be able to. Alright, can I pick it up? Alright, fine. So, in that case, like, alright, fine. This is the ode to Ghosts and Goblins before we do that, and... God, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do Ghosts and Goblins, because... it is so insanely difficult. Ghosts and Goblins on NES, that might be the hardest game I've ever played in my life, and... Jeff, if you want to get into hardest games you've ever played, tell me, we can do it. We can talk that way. That game is so insanely hard... I don't know how that's going to work. Because I have it on the Wii Virtual Console, but I think I'm going to use the Switch for that one, only because otherwise there's no way we beat it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to handle that game when you want to see it, but I'm not going to say no, we're not going to play it because it's hard. We will, but we'll see how that goes. And it's also going to be the case also when I fulfill another game I know Lickfors requested, Contra Hardcore, although, well, I could be a scaredy cat and just play the Japanese version. We have a life bar, whereas the US version you don't. Another case of them making it harder for the US than Japan, which is weird. You usually expect the other way around. But yeah, alright, so, okay, then as I said, we're going through the game twice, and it is the homage, I guess, to Capcom and to Ghosts and Goblins, and Ghouls and Ghosts, which does it as well. Or Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Well, no, Ghouls and Ghosts does it, because there was Ghosts and Goblins, there was Ghouls and Ghosts, and then there was Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which was on Super Nintendo. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, fine. I remember how I said the weapons, at the beginning of the game, the weapons were in set locations. I guess I lied. I guess they are random. Or maybe on Expert they get rid of them. I'm back. Alright, what happened was we beat the game the first time. We're going on Expert. We're seeing if we can beat this game. And right now I was just going into the perspective of... I guess this is a little bit of an homage to the perspective of Ghosts and Goblins, where you have to beat the game one time, and then technically it doesn't count, so you have to beat it the second time in order to win. On top of the fact that, hey, if you don't do that, right with the shield at the end of it, you have to go back 2 stages. So, okay, fine. This game is not as cheap as that, but okay, we saved Guy's Master, we saved Reyna, but yeah, we're going through the game on Expert again. We're gonna see if we can get through this. If we get a game over, that's gonna be it. And that'll be the end of the show tonight, and then what I'll do is when I edit this in a couple days, I'll look up what the ending is, and I'll see what I can do. Because as I said, there's nothing that can help me for this. I can't use a code, I can't use the save state, because the save state I put down was on normal. And, well, I mean, I also don't want to get into the case of what I did with first time I played Castlevania Bloodlines, which was save stating the ever-living hell out of the game. I don't think I can get away with that. Although, hey, even Bloodlines had a password case I could use. This one does not have that, so I can't really do much else. So we'll see who can do the expert mode, if I can beat it, if we can see the full ending. If we can, then great. If not, I'll edit in a couple days. So in the meantime, since we beat the game already, and we have, I guess, feasibly, another hour and a half, I guess, or when I get a game over. It's going to be whichever comes first. Or either I beat the game or get a game over, one of those things. Yeah, chat, let me know what anything you want to go into, anything else you want to talk about. Well, I'll keep going. And by the way, one other thing I'm also going to emphasize. When it comes to this expert perspective, I'm only using Hagar. There's no way I'm using anybody else, because I did do practice on expert just to get a sense of how far can I get with this thing, which I did get, I'm trying to remember how far I got. I think I got about halfway through, but since Hagar is the one who's attacking the hardest, and the enemy life bars are increased when you're on expert, that's really the main difference. The enemy health bars are higher, and their damage output is higher as well. You still have the same number of continues, 6, you still have the same number of lives, the same life point rules apply. That's really all that's different. But yeah, the enemy outputs, that's really what the problem's going to be. So as we're going through this, yeah, let me know anything else you got or anything else you want to discuss as far as anything Capcom, anything else gaming, anything else beat 'em up, anything else going on. Because, I guess one other thing, just to go into what we were talking about before, when you were off for a little bit, like first, was we're talking about the idea of, I guess, the naming of this genre as beat 'em up, which I guess I never really put 2 and 2 together, thinking like, well, okay, that's the naming convention. Dolly Film was bringing mention of that. And I guess the idea of, it's either that, I guess it's a brawler, you could say it's a fighting game in the sense I'm fighting in a street, but it's like, well, how does it differentiate? So yeah, we kind of were covering the gamut that way. Alright. Yeah, just keep doing what we did before, and as I said, that's also where the discussion case is going to come into, is like, okay, we've seen the whole game already, so yeah, this is how we're going to make it work. Also, I guess, let me see something. Okay, yeah, you can actually, no, you're right, you can do the kick and the dive thing down in the same animation. Do the kick and you hit down and Y. After that. Or do reverse. Okay, I did not know you could do that. Alright. Yeah, so far so good. I do have a lot of lives, so back to 1-1 once more. But yeah, using, Hagar to take care of him. And I guess the other thing I can feasibly show is, picking him up and doing this. Yeah, he's not too big for Hagar to handle. Whoa. Ow. Yeah, they are hurting a lot. Alright, well, so far so good. We'll see how this goes. Ow! Yeah, I saw that happening with 1-1 crushing me. Right, okay, that's my first death. I mean, I guess that's good as far as expert. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah, but that is the thing you do want to watch out for 1-1. He'll do that jump, and then just pay attention where the shadow is. Try to get out of the way. It is a bigger hitbox for that shadow than you might think, though, because sometimes I've been a little outside of thinking I'm okay, but sometimes, like, no, you're not completely. Ow. Okay, in that case, I wasn't out of it at all, because, like, wait a second. Although I think, and I don't think I can, grab him or, hit him in the air with, like, a kick while he's doing that. Come down, so, yeah, it's not going to be of help to me either. Yeah, we almost have him, so. At least you do see the tells for that. They'll do, like, the bend down things. You do see them doing the jump. Okay, actually, he's invincible when he does that. I did not know he was. Actually, yeah, that didn't even do that much damage. Okay, so fine. Alright, my hits are not doing as much damage either. Alright, but we're gonna get him at least, I think. I don't want to die here, because if I don't die here, I'm just gonna do the cheap thing. Oh, fine, alright, I did die, so fair enough. I would say, if I had somehow not died for that, I do get a health recovery because it's the end of the round. Yeah, I'm at full health now, so it doesn't matter. So that's round 1 again. And same deal as before. Telling of what's going on. Yeah, I guess you don't get a whole lot of story stuff in this game, except for a few cases, and I guess also the case of, yeah, the text there. But yeah, it's short, so fair enough. Alright, so back to Paris again. I guess I do love, like, the jazzy stuff as far as the music for Paris. That does fit this really nicely. Alright. Alright, I guess if nothing else, I get to show more of the items. So, yeah, there's a watch. Fitting, I guess, to see that in, you know, in Paris, I guess, to a certain degree. Like, the jewelry store case, maybe, or the fancy socialite take. Which, I mean, I guess that's an interesting case as far as the idea of Hagar as a character. Like, yeah, you know, Hagar's the mayor of Metro City, but he's also someone like, yeah, you just... I don't get the sense he'd necessarily be, like, a fancy kind of guy, but... then again, he wears the, suit and the tie in the opening cutscene, so, like, yeah, no... he has the class about himself, along with being a wrestling star, so there you go. Oh, no. Actually, I'm trying to remember if those were even there on normal. They might not have been. I'll go back on the footage just to remind myself of... okay, so then maybe that's something else that's different. They give you different enemies on top of, higher enemy health bars. Ooh. Yeah, but alright, fine. I'm doing okay so far, but as I said, that's going to be the famous last words eventually, because, yeah, I'm not expecting to get through this, but, yeah, I'm going to try. As I mentioned, like, first you mentioned you wanted to see this game. Well, it doesn't matter who comes in and says to me, no, I want to see a game, whatever it is. I'm going to play this game to whatever you ask for, to the best of my ability. I'm going to give enough of an idea that I know sort of what I'm talking about it, whether it's me doing research or whatever it is, for the purpose of that, and, trying to think what else, I guess, to that. I guess really just, yeah, I mean, look, point is, I'm going to show, and then I guess this goes to what I'm saying about as far as this year, with what am I doing with, fulfilling viewer requests more, or more consistently, and that is, I'm going to play the, look, I'm never going to half-ass anything you want to see. I'm not going to say, like, oh, we're going to, you know, do something like this because, oh, I can't handle it, oh, I haven't played it a whole lot, or, oh, I can't, you know, do this. No, I'm going to try, damn it, so I'm going to give it as much, you know, attention, as much of a deep dive, as much as going into the guts of the game, playing it, and its history, and anything else that I would with something else that would be like, I want to share this with the world myself. Even it's me getting shocked by Alec. Damn, oh, Alec, I do not like what you're doing to me, my friend. Or not friend, yeah, he needs to die. So in that case, yeah, I'm giving anything you want to see the full play the same way I'm giving with everything else. So, yeah, there you go. As we go down. So, there we go. There's actually, okay, that's one thing I guess I'll go into then, is like the name of the enemies. Honestly, there aren't a whole lot of different enemies to some degree in this game, but that being said, there is interesting things like the name, like Shot, where they spell the S-C-H-O-T, so like, oh, okay, that's different. I guess we'll get an interesting case with that because, you know, I was maybe going to say this a little later, but I think I'll do this. Alright, fine. Fine, I guess there are a couple of things going on this year. As I mentioned, the special showcase shows we do for May and November, the viewer request stuff each month, the Zelda stuff we're doing. But also, I gotta tell you, when we had the April Fool's Day show last year, we did Sewer Shark and Slam City Scottie Pippen. I said, you know what? I want to make that a annual thing too. So I know I was asked for this too. So actually, this is going to be sort of the fulfilling that in February, or not February, in April. I'm going to do this. I guess it's another beat 'em up, so it's fair enough. We're playing Batman Forever for Super Nintendo. I'm definitely going to have experience with that. And yeah, that is not a good game, but that's also one you have a lot of weird enemy names. So yeah, we'll play that, and we'll get into that perspective of what that game is doing. It definitely is an interesting case. Is that I'll play that still to my best ability, despite it not being a good game, but still, definitely gonna show that. All right. So a lot of fun time for this, and I guess that's the idea of like a beat 'em. Also, I guess I didn't mention this. Which is that the fences, when you have them like this, you do have to punch them or do a kick or something into them to go on forward, but yeah, fair enough. All right. Yeah, so far so good. Is that I'm just nervous sort of on the next boss and then also on some of the later ones, but yeah, I mean, I guess we're doing all right so far, and I do have the 6 continue, so yeah, we'll get going on this, or try to do it. In the meantime, just keep hitting me with what you got while I keep hitting these guys with what I got, as far as my fists and my body. Oh, there we go. There we go. Got my wood to hit him. I guess that is useful still. Like, sometimes to walk off. Ooh. Whoa. Actually, yeah, I'm holding... Okay, I was gonna say, I was holding on to that longer than I think I had for... Even when I played it for the normal run we were doing a little earlier. Alright, we are going to the aeroport, which... Alright, I guess... I don't know, is that something that... I guess in Europe they'll say it's aeroport instead of airport? I mean, fine, it's aeroplane, so hey, either way. Tomato, tomato, I guess, or potato... Well, potato, potato, either or. Take your pick. Yeah, that's a sight, yeah, having, the mayor of a, I guess, American city, technically, as far as this, with 2x4 beating up a guy who looks like Andre the Giant. And that was the intention. I do know that when we did this when we played Final Fight 1, there was the Andre the Giant-like character, so that was supposed to be referenced that way, but they kept him in this one. Yeah, just keep walking in 2-4. Actually, one other thing also is that, yeah, if you have a weapon at the end of the section, you do drop it, so yeah, you can't take it with you. Alright, so back into the airport and going after Freddy when we get to the end here. Alright, well, there's another 2-4. Alright, fine, it's gone, and I'm gone too. You just figured there, like, you know, not only did I fade away from existence by dying, but so did the 2x4. So yeah, if I had to die, the 2x4 died with me, or vice versa. Alright. Yeah, with the bigger life bars, you do want to do that, you know, grab thing and do the multiple attacks that way. Yeah, well, okay, I wanted to see that, because I realized that, you know, I could do that actually earlier today, but I don't know if it's necessarily doing as much damage, especially on Expert. He's still standing there. I was like, okay, I like that they were kind of just still standing there, but they weren't moving. I was like, wait a second, they're gonna move, right? Actually, that got me in good position to hit him, or hit Alec. It does look cool, for sure, as well. So you get the sense of how good the animations are, although, to be fair, there is also cases where you don't have idle stuff, but still. It is a nice-looking game, and well, that's the idea, like, as far as Capcom. Like, they did put that perspective into a lot of stuff that it was, and they knew how to or to program Super Nintendo specifically. And Genesis to a certain degree, but also Super Nintendo specifically. So in a lot of cases, they did run Super Nintendo mostly, or Nintendo a lot. Actually, the Final Fight, I guess the interesting point to that, there's only one Sega release of Final Fight, and that's on Sega CD, which from what I understand is a great version. Better even on Super Nintendo, but one that not a whole lot of people played, because, yeah, it was only on Sega CD, and I think it does cost a little bit of money. Alright, there's barbecue, so we take that. I am in good shape going into Freddy here, or into the boss of Freddy here. Actually, I have not gotten the game over yet, so that's good, but I know that's going to change. There's another Robert showing up. Which is why usually when you see something like that, I guess that's the challenge reel, something like that, this game, or a game like this. Decide what enemy you want to get rid of first, and get rid of them. With extreme prejudice. Okay, so yeah, we are all set. So here we are at... Well, fine, Freddy's next, but then... Well, actually, I guess to go to another game, which is Friday the 13th. Or not, well, no, that's... No, I was thinking, no, not that one. Nightmare on Elm Street. Sometimes I get those mixed up, like, I shouldn't be making that mistake. Friday the 13th on... Or no, again, I did it. Nightmare on Elm Street on NES, which is developed by Rare, actually, by the way. But, yeah, you have that Freddy's coming. So, yeah, Freddy's coming, yeah, and here he is. But he's punching me in the face, and yeah, he's hurting. Ow. Yeah, he really destroyed me. Actually, he looks a little like T-Hawk, now I'm realizing, from Street Fighter. A little. The same deal as before, pretty much just get out of his way when he runs towards you, and then hit him again, or hit him when he stops. I try to, anyway. And the other thing you also do is, again, slam the enemies into him that way. Yeah, in some ways that seems like that's the easiest case to take. It's like, hey, just take an enemy and just slam it into him. Yeah, but alright, yeah, I'm actually not doing too bad. We'll see. As I said, that's the idea. Like, I'm not making a guarantee on the expert case, but I'm doing what I can. That's good, he just keeps running into me, so that works out well. Ow. Yeah, actually, when he does get down to yellow bar, the enemies stop coming, so you have to just fight him one-on-one. Yeah, I think I might get him. Ow. Almost. So he... Oh, wait, I'm not gonna get a game over on him. Okay, now I'm not, because he's done. Yeah, just the next round I'm gonna worry about, because I think this is really where I was falling down. But first, let's destroy a car. Yeah, and the Tonfa... Actually, we haven't really seen the Tonfa much, as far as the weapon. This one, oftentimes, when you pick it up, if you get knocked off once, it's gone, usually. Alright, I think you have to usually go up, or... Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, like, wait a second. It seemed like it wasn't hitting anything. But yeah, the Tonfa is, like, it is very powerful. Okay, I just did it. Just in time. Okay. That was clutch as anything, was go back to Holland with the mines. Yeah, let's let him walk in the mines. I'm not gonna off-screen him like I did before. Come on, guys. Come on, man. Yeah, they do have to walk on it very specifically, and also, if you're too close when they hit it, you'll get burned too, so don't do that. Okay, I was interested. I got shocked in midair, so I was like, there you go, but I was still stuck that way. Alright, there's Robert and Leon. Get rid of him fast. Although, actually, I think you might be invincible when you're doing that throwdown, so actually that also is something to do, I guess. Alright, so fine. I guess I'm coming up with the strategy method of how to play this, because in some cases, as I said, I'm kind of trying to figure it out myself now, just because I haven't really played this game that massively. Alright, come on. Also, I guess I'm also getting used to playing with that Wii U Pro controller, only because, as I said, when I did the practice on this, I just had my gamepad out and was using that. Which I guess goes to the perspective of how sometimes I'll play Wii U's. Like, usually I will play it on the TV, but some cases, like, well, you know what? I don't want to. I mean, I'll go into this story, because this might be a case as far as Wii U, just because of this. I remember when Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out. I didn't have a Switch at the time, so I bought it on Wii U. I remember actually also being someone who got it a day early from Best Buy. I remember seeing my friends saying, like, oh, I'm in line wanting to get my Switch to play Breath of the Wild. I was like, Best Buy gave me my copy the day early. And they're like, you bastards. Like, yeah, you're right. I am. I'm not going to lie about that. But point is that as I was playing that game, especially when I was hooked onto that massively when it came out, it ended up being a case where I basically just had the gamepad out, and I was like, you know, let's just play it when I come home from work. Just pick the gamepad up, just play it, and like, hey, I just wasn't even turning on the TV. Not because, like, hey, it doesn't look great on TV. Just like, hey, the gamepad's there, we play it this way, and just play it on the screen. I guess in that case, chat, let me know anything, perspective as far as Wii U play for you, and like, if you, when you tend to use that gamepad or not. Because honestly, I'll say this, it actually is really comfortable to play a game like this, surprisingly. I remember when I first bought Wii U, one thing I first did was I downloaded Mega Man X3, because that was before they did the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. And for that one, it was also something that I didn't have that Super Nintendo version anywhere specifically. So I said, okay, I'm gonna get it on that. But I realized this game's a lot of, not, well, it's a fun game, number one, because I do like it as far as it, and we can get into that when we do Mega Man X3 eventually, but just how it played with the gamepad, because you think, like, oh, I just want to use the Super Nintendo controller. But I was like, or this thing, feasibly, the Pro Controller I'm running tonight with. But I was like, no, actually, I was really comfortable with that gamepad. So, like, I made me realize, like, despite that being a big tablet, it's something that's comfortable to play games with. So, say that as far as Wii U, at least. Hey, you could say the Wii U was a sales disaster for Nintendo, and it was. I mean, it was... Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, Ondor didn't like my mean words about the Wii U, or my true words about the Wii U, because it did bomb. But it is a good system, as I mentioned. It's kind of this great retro gaming box now, because of the fact that a lot of the Virtual Console stuff is there, and you can still buy it. So, like, hey, I can just use that to, like, buy old things. As I said, that's how we're doing the Final Fight case. That's the more affordable way, because, like, I would probably have to spend about $700 total to get the 3 games that are in question for this, as opposed to this one, where, like, yeah, just spend 21. So, there you go. And it is a perfect port, so that's the other thing. From what I've looked at, this is a perfect port of how it was on Super Nintendo, because this is direct emulation. So, there you go. So it's not really changing too much. Actually, I guess the only real thing is I guess the graphics are a little sharper because of how the Wii U's filters work. But that really is about it. Yeah, I was like, wait a second, are they dead or not? But, no. Well, there they are, but Robert and Leon came back. Ooh. Yeah, there's nothing there, but trust me, I am gonna hit him. And see, this looks like a cheap method, and he is running into my fist, but that doesn't always work, because sometimes he'll break through. But yeah, so far, I guess so. Yeah, fine, we'll show this off. Yeah, I'm punching at nothing, and he's dying off screen. Alright, fine, it worked. But I don't know if that's gonna be working forever. Can I? Okay, good. Enemy. Oh. Come on over the mines. Okay, that was interesting. He died on the mine, but he wasn't screaming. Which is weird, because you think, like, if they're dying on the mines, they scream more, but, alas, no. Oh, no! I was gonna say, okay, there is me falling on the mine, so hey, at least it had to happen eventually. I was like, I got lucky not getting hit by that. Yeah, definitely is fun, I'll say that for sure. It's like just that catharsis of, you know, picking up the guys and just tossing them on the ground. Ow. Yeah, I deserved that for killing the one off screen the way I did, but alright. Well, fine. I guess I'm gonna do it again, because, like, well, maybe I can get some results. And hey, on Expert, I'll take all the help I can get. Oh, no. You know, I'm kind of not being careful. I gotta avoid that. Also, I have to start using the A button for my special attack, because I'm not using that really that much either. Right, please walk on the mine, my friend. Okay, good. Okay, good. They're all gone. Yeah, I'm surprised I'm getting so far on no life, but we'll see. Oh, okay, he came out and hit the mine. Alright, so at least the mine had some use. Ow. Alright, but yeah, but it was the slight tap by shot that got me in the end. I mean, again, they could have breathed on me at that point. I would have died. Alright, yeah, just keep walking to my fists. I mean, I guess this might be a suggestion, like, wait a minute, no, this is something that you can easily exploit this, although, so far, this is all I'm seeing, really, of it, as far as this game. Yeah, but Atlas is blocking. That's really the hard thing with him, so that's why you usually want to do either the 3-hit or the 3rd hit on your combo, because it will break through his block, by the way. Or do a jumping attack, and that usually will get him to the ground. Yeah, okay, for a minute there, I didn't know if I had gotten through that or not. Yeah, but these little mini cutscenes are a good perspective to get me water. Ow. Okay, I guess this is going to be the method I'm going to use. I'm just hoping Alec doesn't get through it, because I've seen him get through it when I practiced. But, yeah, so far not. Alright, so there you go. Okay, now, okay, maybe I'm making this game look boring then. Like, look, I'm trying not to. That's why I'm talking about different things. Well, I got an extra life, so I'll take that as well. I guess there's one other thing I guess I'll go into, because I said, I'm going into random stuff. We're minutiaing this game the way we always do. But one thing I noticed is that it seems like the belt on Andor Jr. looks like a number 3 for some reason. Yeah, right there. I don't know why, or maybe it's just the way the pixels are looking, but that is also a fascinating thing, too, to, you know, have that nice pixel art case. Alright, woo. Alright, guess I'll do this. I mean, I know it's cheap. It's like, well, sorry. Oh, yeah, see that? Okay, alright, I'm glad then I showed the fact that Ella can bust through that. Yeah, sometimes that'll happen. You'll just do the punch, and sometimes, like, hey, just as you stop, they'll come through, and that'll be the end. Alright, there's another donut. Okay, yeah, it gives you a little bit of health. I guess it gave me about a quarter back. Because they said you honestly don't have a whole lot of massive health recoveries here except for the barbecue when you find it. Ow. Ow. Okay, I didn't see that before him doing the punches. Okay, that's the other thing, because, yeah, Eliza's walking out towards me on the screen. Oh, wait. Wait, I was gonna say, I didn't kill the other one. Like, there he is. Oh. Yeah, okay, they're just... Okay, I got really bad luck there with them hitting me for that. That being said, I guess I'm a little resigned to be beaten or dying at this part, or getting game over here. Actually, yeah, this is working really well. I gotta go back to that. And fitting, because, yeah, this is the most powerful attack you really have. As far as that 3-hit thing. Because I think it is. I know there's an item over... Oh, no, I think it's a... Well, I guess I'll see if it's random, because usually the wrench is what's in the box coming up next. Ow. Okay, yeah, you can just see right there, like, yeah, I'm just barely not dead, but yeah, I'm gonna die. If I use health in this... Alright, fine, a watch. Oh, alright, fine, there you go. Well, then again, I kind of am glad this happened here, only because the boss is coming up. Alright, so that's 2 continues. Not too bad, but like, as I said, I don't think we beat this on expert, but I'm gonna try. Ow. Yeah, not really too much else to say, I guess, as far as this, but is that anything else you got? Chat for me, let me know, and we can get into that as well. Yeah, okay, I'm doing the kick there. Actually, that's probably more reliable than the punch off screen, because in a lot of ways, as long as you time it, they can't break through that as much. You just wait a couple seconds, go back, and then do the kick. But one thing I do know is it doesn't do as much damage as the punch, even though it should be doing more, feasibly. It's like, yeah, this big guy is just slamming his feet into them, but yeah, it's not. Oh. I was like, wait a second, what happened? Like, oh yeah, he punched me there. Yeah, okay, that's the other thing as far as... Because I mentioned the thing with Robert doing the jump, but oftentimes when he comes on the screen, and I know he's more an expert, honestly, he'll do that jump from somewhere specific, and he'll come towards you pretty much all the time. I'm only at 3 lives coming in. Oh. Okay, those are shoes. That's for points. Alright, I was gonna say, like, I only have 3 lives. I hope that's gonna be enough to beat this next boss. But we'll see. Ow. Also, actually, it does remind me of one other thing. The 3 thing is, like, when we get to Final Fight 3 and Streets of Rage 3, one thing both those games also both added was running. So I'm just going at 1 speed, or the slower speed with Hagar, but just moving around, and same with the enemies, except when they do a run, but then you get a run in the 3rd game of both of those. Which is definitely a nice thing to have. Alright, so he's down, and then one more. Okay, so I think that's the end of this section, but yeah. Oh no, I got an extra life. Perfect. Alright. So I think 4 lives for this boss should hopefully be enough, but we'll see. Hopefully. Or yeah, just keep doing that. Just kick them all at the same time. One thing I also noticing, they're hitting me when I get close to them a lot more frequently on Expert, which makes sense. So it also shows the AI is a little better if you're wondering what's the difference between difficulty. This is. Oh, yeah, well, there are these guys, too. Yeah, just keep walking into the fire. Actually, one thing also, I don't know what happens when you run out of time. I'm gonna assume you die, but I don't know, because I've never actually seen it happen. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you one thing we'll do. Regardless of what happens as far as me beating Expert or not, the last thing I'll show tonight is I'll start the game up again when we're done, and I'll show what Time Over does, because I don't know what it does, so I want to find out. Or, chat, if you know, let me know, and we can go into that. Ow. Alright, Brodkin again. Let's see if I could get rid of him. Or actually use the final boss method, I guess. We're just keeping distance and hitting him from just enough, except Leon is in the way. Or just use the throw method. Alright, I guess this is what I want to do. Except when he does that. Oh, no! Okay, oh, I didn't die. I thought that was me dying. Okay, that's why I stopped. I was like, wait a second. I'm so used to myself dying. Alright, fine. There we go. Now it's back to normal. Oh, no. Oh, you know what? Yeah, just do what I did on the final boss. Keep him at distance and just punch him there. Perfect. Just walk in my fist, friend. Oh, I'll do that. Yeah, okay, I'll get him, I think, on this life. I don't think I'm gonna get game over on him. Yeah, actually, that's what the manual says to do, just to give you an idea like this. They say, like, use the hit-and-run strategy, which is basically just keep out of the way, then hit him, and then move again out of the way, which, yeah, working okay. Okay, so there we go. So there is halfway through. So at least we got halfway through on Expert, if nothing else. The Philippe is gonna kick my ass, I know that. Back to England and back to the train yard. Oh yeah, actually, that's one of the things I do like as far as that. The fact that the drum can technically has a life bar when you hit it. It's like, yeah, it says drum can. It's like, yeah, the poor drum can didn't do anything wrong. Why did you have to destroy it? Because it's a beat 'em up and you want to bust everything. Actually, you know what? I kind of want to let myself die here if I can, because, you know what? Yeah, let him kill me. Because at least then I'll have the full set of lives to go after Philippe with. Alright, so that's 3. So, alright, not bad. Like, if I had to use 3 of them, by law of averages, maybe we can do this. Alright, here's the taunt. So at least I could show this. It hurts a lot, but if I get hit once, usually you drop it instantly. Usually, anyway. I guess that's the one thing I guess I'm noticing is that you don't have a whole lot of weapons in this one, although I get the sense it's more of a Streets of Rage thing. Okay, it didn't go away right away, so I got lucky. I guess its weapons might have been more of a Streets of Rage thing, especially when you get to the third game, because the third game also added in weapon combos. I remember the third one on this one does that, but maybe it does. Actually, this is helping me a lot. This is why I love the taunt. I'm gonna say, like, any of the weapons, it's this one, but it is slower, so you're moving with the hit like that, you usually are gonna be in case where you're gonna be vulnerable. Especially with Robert around. Okay, I'm getting lucky getting the 3 drop on that, or the 2 drop, so I can use it one more time. Oh, it looks like he got a life. Alright, fine. It's gone, but I don't care because I did enough damage on him. I got an extra life, I believe, for my... Look, did I? Oh, no, because you start... Every time you get a game over, you start the game, you start with 5 lives. So maybe I didn't get an extra life. It just maybe looked like I did. Oh, alright, there's another thing of food. There's spinach, so you're definitely getting your Popeye the Sailor Man take on for the purposes, which I guess is probably what they're going for. Although, the Popeye game was the NES case, interestingly enough. Though I realized apparently there's one on Switch I didn't know existed. I don't think anybody knew it existed. Apparently not very good at all, but, yeah, there is a real Popeye game that way. Or just get the NES one, because it was an arcade game of Nintendo's, actually. And there is an NES version, so we can show that off if you want to see that. Okay, there we go. Now I got a life. Alright, because I heard that. I thought I heard that thing before, but okay, I heard it now. So it was a little premature, but... Okay, good thing, too, because, yeah, there it goes. Or to quote South Park, you have that perspective of that, and it's gone. But, yeah, not completely now. Alright. Okay, Andor has the green life bar, which, okay, that was definitely not that way when we played normal, so... Yeah, there you go, so why this is much harder. Actually, that's the other thing as far as the color life bars like that, I'll emphasize this. I will say this, until it gets to, like, the normal yellow, I always get confused of, am I actually hurting them or not? Well, fine, except when it changes color as it goes down. Then I realize, oh, wait a minute. Okay, there we go, now it's hurting them. Which is something I believe Streets of Rage would change, and we'll see that when we do Streets of Rage 2, where you have these, like, different color life bars, but they'll still go down to go to the next level, so you have a little bit of a perspective. And as I said, that goes to the perspective, and also why we're doing, Streets of Rage and Final Fight back, or concurrently, as far as one, then the other, is that they kind of were, I guess, Capcom and Sega were really trying to, I guess, really kind of one-up each of themselves as far as, like, what the other game was doing. Alright, we got him. So back out of the circus train, and let's go take care of Philippe. Okay, that's the other thing, is, like, I'm just sitting there, it's like, wait, I'm waiting for him to jump on, but then I was thinking, like, well, wait, is he just gonna jump into the car? I was like, no, he just waits to get to the end of it. Oh, crap. Okay, so back on the train, we're still killing... And I do like the idea in the background, like, hey, you're seeing the train going. Actually, we will sort of see that when we do Batman Forever, so at least there's that. But trust me, Batman Forever will not be as much fun as this, although, unlike this, Batman Forever does have codes if I get stuck, so I'll at least give it that much. But then again, it's like, this is still a better game, so, like, honestly, I don't care this doesn't have codes for it. It's just more of a concern to me, is like, because I want to show this game well. But so far, I guess I am, in chat. If you don't think I am, let me know, and I will correct somehow. Okay, now I do have Niels. Perfect. Alright. I guess that's the other thing as far as, I guess, let's go into some philosophy, I guess, of beat-em-ups to a certain extent, which is the idea of, like, okay, fine, you're just going around and beating enemies up, so how do they keep that, you know, varied? I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do now, I guess, for, you know, discussing this game, number one, and number two, the way I'm fighting is like, hey, I'll do the 3-hit, but also do the grab to hit him twice, and then slam him on the ground. Try and do as much damage as I can, as quickly as I can. So actually, for a game, because let's go into this as well, because Final Fight and Double Dragon and Streets of Rage, amongst other games, tend to sometimes be looked down upon as something like, hey, you're just walking around hitting a button, and that's it. But honestly, the best beat-em-ups, you don't really think about that too much. And it really becomes the idea like, hey, they vary it up a lot as far as what you can do, what you see, and what your movements are to be able to, you know, manage the combat. I guess that's why Final Fight, as well as some of the other ones, are held in such high regard. Although, as I mentioned at one point, I know we did Final Fight 1, Capcom has not done a new one of these, actually, since Streetwise. I guess it would be nice to see them do another one. I think there was another one they were going to do. I think it was called Seven Souls, but it was canceled, which is too bad. Maybe they'll come back to it. Maybe like a Streets of Rage 4 take. I'd love to see that. I bet, yeah, if they gave it like the Dotemu. I mean, they're doing the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, the Shredder's Revenge this year. So maybe Final Fight could do that next. You know, the idea of everything old is new again. And hey, watch, if I mention that I'd like to see another Final Fight, chances are it's going to happen, I guess, because I've realized... We mentioned Games of Humongous Entertainment when Nikki was in the chat a couple weeks ago. We did Kingdom Hearts for Part 4. They ported Freddy Fish 3 and one of the Pot games to the Switch, seemingly out of nowhere. So I was like, wait a minute, were they bugging my show, perhaps? I don't know, maybe they were. Maybe they realized, no, maybe there's a good idea here. Or they had in percolation for a while. But, either case, like, yeah, maybe make a wish on the show and it comes true. I don't know. As I said, I don't have anything to do with that because I don't work in the video game industry in any way, shape, or form. But still, it's like, well, okay, I guess maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they're hearing stuff. It's like, it's 2 weeks after I mentioned Musha, they said, like, oh, Super Nintendo, or the Switch Online is going to have it. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, but who knows. Oh, you can punch the... Oh, I did not know you could punch the Molotovs out of the air like that. Alright, but I'm not liking the fact that I have, Okay, I'm glad I showed that, but I'm not liking the fact that I only have 2 lives. And many more of these guys on tap there. Okay, I have 2 lives. Hopefully we can beat Philippe with them. I think I'll just use the same element, keep away, but yeah, Philippe is kind of a hard one to do that because he has the long reach and the slide. Oh no. Then again, I might be able to get him, we'll see. Because he is in the yellow territory, but yeah, I'm dying really quick. Oh, and he hit me while I was... Okay, yeah, there was nothing I could do. Alright, so that's another game over. Alright, we have 2 more continues. We'll see if we can make the rest of the game go with them. But, alright, let's keep going. Ow. Alright, yeah, getting caught like that or grabbed like that is definitely the worst thing that can have happen, especially on expert. Yeah, as I said, I'm not having much confidence, only because I have 2 continues left, and I don't know if I can get through the rest of the game on just those alone. Yeah, I get the sense that regardless of how I throw him, it's still going to do the same amount of damage, I should say. At least on expert. As long as I have more lives coming into Philly next time, I should be okay. If I don't get surrounded again. Yeah, I'm noticing that's much more of a problem as far as expert, but... Yeah, whoa! Okay, that was close. I thought either I was gonna just hit him down, or he was gonna hit me with the electricity, but thankfully he didn't. Yeah, that's one thing I guess you do also take into when it comes to beat-em-ups like this. You have to be on the right plane for the most part. But so... Oh, wait, where'd he come from? Like, okay, I killed the other one, that's why. Okay, that was lucky too, throwing him in just as he came out. Okay, that was also close to me hitting him when he was running towards me. I thought I was going to get shocked when I put the fist out. Ow. Okay, that was the case. Like, yeah, I couldn't really do much about that. I think we have only one more section here before we get to the boss. Yes, just walk out of the way. Okay, so I have 4 lives going in, so this should be okay. Okay, I was lucky that apparently turned off his hit for the slide, which is good. I'm glad about that. Okay, that didn't. At least he's not doing the grab on me, which is the worst thing you can do. Okay, yeah, I got good luck on him. Alright, so there we go. He's down. So at least we'll get to round 5, if nothing else, but alright. You know, I want to see something else. I'm not going to attack the drums only because I want to see... Because this is a long bridge. I just want to see how far it goes. Well, fine. I'll attack some of the ones on the way. Just because I want to see that. Oh. Let me look back at... Okay, it must have just happened right as... The fire must have just come up right before I punched it. Okay, so that's the end of it. Yeah, I was not intending to get anything off of this. Alright, so round 5, back in Italy. Actually, I think this might be further than I got when I was testing this for the expert, so at least there's that. Was either here, I either died at Philippe or Rolanto, we're gonna see here again. I mean, if nothing else, I'll say this, I'm getting pretty far to that, so it's like, it'll be either really close and we'll get it, or really close and we won't. Yeah, with these big life bars, that's who's gonna be taking more time. Alright, well that was the way to take care of him, so that's good. You see, I get the sense I'm getting a little better with what I'm doing, but as I said, maybe just because I've been playing this for a couple of hours. Wait, I guess I used the knife already, did I? Yeah, I'll have to look back at the video on that, because I barely saw it happen, saw it going anywhere. Oh, no. Alright, back on the ship, or on this ship anyway. Again, sorry if I'm not being super talkative right now, only because it's like, well, wait a minute, I guess I'm doing the same thing. As I said, here's the thing, I will also at least emphasize this. Don't think that, no, I need to, this is like, concentrate for this. Like, look, I'm beating guys up, so that's really all I need to do. So, I can keep that going if that's the case, so don't be afraid for the purpose of, like, hey, you're gonna screw me up. Like, hey, I have to do this live anyway, I have to play it anyway, so don't worry, don't take it as a concern. Oh. Actually, I'll say this is one other thing I actually just noticed listening to the music. Actually, there's a part of this music that sounds like do 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 do, which actually sounds like something out of Mega Man 3. I think that's Chad, help me out here. There's a track in Mega Man X3 that not Mega Man X3, Mega Man 3 on NES that goes like do 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 do. I'm trying to remember what it is, and I don't remember off the top of my head. If you remember what it is, let me know, or I'll put an edit in later. One of the two. Alright, so there we go. We're done with that part at least. Actually, one thing I guess I didn't emphasize here is, like, yeah, there is some animation in the background there. The fact the ship is weaving and bobbing. But also the idea of, yeah, this woman is really happy to see me. Like, applauding the fighting, and then also that guy is taking pictures. Although his camera's not flashing, so maybe he's out of film, or the flash bulb is broken. Ow! Yeah, they throw a lot more Roberts and Leons here. I'm noticing that. Ow. There's only one other thing I guess I'll say is, like, yeah, I don't know if I'm saying there's great enemy variety, but it's like, hey, they make it different, I guess, because of the health bars for here, so, hey, I'm still having fun, so I can't necessarily complain too much. Whoa! Oh, got a life. It looked like he shocked me and I got the life. It's like, wait a minute, that alone shouldn't give me a life, but okay. Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, they throw a lot more of the Alex out at you here, I'll say that right now, too. Okay, I was gonna say either I was gonna just die from that or just live. Alright, here we go. Alright, yeah, we're going up the elevator. Alright, so we're almost at, Rolento. So actually, yeah, this is gonna be close. We might be able to do this. Oh, okay, it makes that noise when you pick up the weapon, too, so that must have been what happened before. Like, I picked up the weapon, I heard that as the same sound as getting a life. Or similar enough. Oh, yeah, just stand there. Let me hit you with the 2x4, my friends. Okay, fine, he's not. Ugh. Okay, yeah, I'm getting lucky here. Just let me do this. Okay, fine. Oh! Okay, it looked like I dropped it 3 times. I still was able to pick it up somehow. Yeah, thank God, though, in this game, like with Streets of Rage 1, you get to hold onto the weapon while you're grabbing things. I don't know if Streets of Rage 3 got rid of that or not. Alright, so that's fine. Just keep doing this. I don't care if it's cheap. I want to live. Alright, there we go. I mean, I guess if nothing else, I'm keeping you suspensive. Will I be able to pull this out? We're close. We almost have it. There's Rolento again. Ow. I also get the sense him dropping off the wall like that is really hard to avoid. You know what? Fine. If I get a game over here, I guess I'm okay with it. Because I think I have 2 continues after this. Or after the... No, I have 2 continues just in general. So, yeah, fine. Use it one here, and if I use the next one, next world, I think we should be good. Okay, alright. And so we start back at, the last, checkpoint area. It's like, yeah, it's Rolando, so just fight him now. I just want to get him down to, yellow as soon as I can, so I can get stuff started for the next part, because then he doesn't hurt you that much, except for the grenades. Oh. That's probably the best option. Just try and get him to go up there, avoid his stabs, avoid him doing that. Have him get up on the railing there. I can hit him when he comes down. Okay, that was good. I was like, yeah, he's jumping up there, so at least I can hit him more. Yeah, but he hurts a lot with the thing he's holding, like the, I don't know, the pool cue, the sword. Okay, alright. I was gonna say I shouldn't have avoided his wall hit, but I didn't avoid it afterwards. Alright, we almost have him. Okay, alright, so now the grenade thing again. So actually, Left Versus is exactly where you, took your, break, or took your shower. So, oh, crap. Alright, so you get to see the next part of the boss again. So at least I got here. Some ways this is the easiest part of it, because, yeah, as soon as he just jumps down like that, he won't hit me. The only thing that hurts me now is the grenade, so if I hit him, I can at least get him out of the way. And then just avoid the grenades, and you should be golden. Alright, yeah, we're seeing the game slow down a little bit. Although, actually, this game doesn't have a whole lot of slowdown, I'm noticing. Which is impressive, given how much is going on. Oh, perfect. Alright, yeah. Oh, crap. Alright, I think I can get him on this one life alone. no. Crap. Alright, fine. Sorry, this is my last continue. The other thing I could do is I could save state here. You know what? What the hell, I'll do it. I'm not gonna restart this if I die. But what I'm gonna do is, if I don't get to a case of that, I might use this off screen, and I'll edit in what happens then later. So like, hey, fine, I'll have the one set of lives, and maybe I can make something happen out of it. Maybe. But we'll see. Yeah, I think he's gonna take me down here. He's like, I'll just take my time, make sure, you know, he doesn't do that, and then when he goes up there, because he will go back up on the railing eventually. Or, okay, I could just do that. Okay, at least I got him in yellow, so hey, if I can... Alright, that's fine. Also, I don't think the grenades will hurt him. He's the one exception to the, you know, exploding with the fire case. But yeah, just hit him twice and go. Alright, fine. At this point, me beating him probably is going to be the victory right here, honestly, just for me. Ow. My last life. At least I want to kill this guy. Come on, let him die. Let me kill him. Just do that and jump out of the way. Got him. Alright, fine. At least we killed him. Yeah, I don't think we're beating this on one life. But, as we killed him, he laid on the ground. Let's travel back to Japan when Master awaits you. There you also fight in Genryu, Sai, and Reina. Beware, my master is the most powerful man in the world, and you cannot be defeated. He will die. Yeah, he's probably not wrong. But hey, at least we got close. Yeah, there's no way in hell I beat this thing on this. But, as I said, just for the purpose of me later... Yeah, I'm putting this down. So, hey, at least we got to the final level. I'll give it that much. So, it's like, I'll give it that... As I said, I'll try. We'll see what we can do. It would be amazing if I can do this, but I don't have much faith to this. As I said, this is not a game I've been playing much. Yeah, right there. I basically almost died right there. Alright, there we go. So there you go. There's the game over. You know what? Fine. That sucked enough. Yeah, game over. We're not game over. I'm lying. We're trying it one more time. Just because I have this, but then after this, it's going to be the end. This will take us to a close 3 hours. Yeah, because that was too quick for me doing that. And like, hey, I'm right here. So fine. Let's do one more time. Yeah, just come... Oh, wait. No, I don't want to do that. Right, because if I'm so close over there, the explosion will hurt me. Okay, that's better. As I said, I won't keep doing this, but I'm going to try at least one good run. Okay, yeah, it's not too much then either. Alright, fine. You may even get a life somewhere. Alright, fine. Okay, fine. I guess I'm gonna resign myself. Yeah, Mike Hagar didn't make it back to Metro City. He drowned. Alright, fine. That's not true, because we have the third game, eventually, and Mighty Final Fight. Alright, I tried. That was, well, we almost made it. But I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll either play off screen to try and get the ending and splice it in, or, I don't know, that's probably not gonna happen. Or more accurately probably do is I'll probably put a picture somewhere what's gonna go on or what happens, what's the final ending look like. I did make it to the final level for the expert mode, so for a game I only played for the first time last year, because Lifers, you wanted to see this game, and thank you very much again for requesting this and for, you know, coming in for the show as far as this and coming up with all the requests you have and adding to the show that much. Yeah, I mean, not too bad, I guess. But alright, fine. I'll put in somewhere where I'm pausing somewhere here to show what actually happens when you beat this game on Expert. As I said, since there's no code I can use to get back there quickly, aside from that save state where I have one life and no continues. Yeah, I'll put it in, though. That'll be part of the editing, so, hey, at least you'll get the full picture, and we get the full picture on Final Fight 2. Which I like this. I had a fun time with this game. I mean, when I first started playing it a little bit, I was like, okay, this is a fun game. And even when I was doing practice yesterday, I was kind of thinking to myself, you know, I don't know if I like this as much as Final Fight 1, but honestly, the more I played it, the more I have enjoyed it. And you do get that nice remix, sort of the level 1 music from Final Fight 1, the digga-digga-digga-digga-digga. And he loves kicking butt, so, like, I love that perspective. That 90s idea, and the idea that, you know, Mike Hagar's eyes get the fire in them and make the two. So yeah, it's very stylish and nice. And I'll say this, if you're going to play this game, download on the Wii U if you're on budget, because it's $8 there. Otherwise, it's like a $70, $90 cost for a copy of this on Super Nintendo. And yeah, if you like beat-em-ups, you like Final Fight specifically, this is a good one. And thank you again, Lifers, for requesting this. And as I said, we will get to the other games of this franchise as well. I have 3 and Mighty Final Fight, and then I guess we'll do Streetwise eventually, but as I said, the way we're doing this, we're gonna alternate between Final Fight and between Streets of Rage. So, for the next one, as far as this, which by the way, also just to give a sense of this, is that it's not to say that, oh, we won't play other beat-em-ups potentially in between these, but point is, we did Final Fight now, so next time we'll do Streets of Rage as far as, like, going to that. So, point is, we won't do Final Fight 3 before we do Streets of Rage 2. So, Final Fight 2 now, Streets of Rage 2, then Final Fight 3, then Streets of Rage 3, and then Mighty Final Fight, then Streets of Rage 4, and I guess eventually Streetwise, if you want to see Streetwise. But I have to get a copy of that. It'll be the Xbox version, because A, it's the cheapest, and B, it's probably the most technically impressive, although you look at that game, yeah, it is not very impressive visually. And it was a late release on Xbox, where it was 5 years after the system came out, and it kind of looks horrible. But, yeah, they'll come eventually down the road. But yeah, I had a good time with Final Fight 2, as I said, if you like what you're seeing, it's on the Wii U's Virtual Console for $8, which is definitely the way to play. It was also on Wii's Virtual Console, but remember, the Wii is turned off. And so far, Nintendo hasn't turned off the Wii U's Virtual Console, which is, I guess, makes sense. It's been almost 10 years, but, well, hey, if you want it, probably get it sooner rather than later. But, yeah, good for your Capcom fisticuffs action. Alright, so I think with that, that's going to do it for Super Old Game Saturday for tonight. Thank you again, Lifers, for the request and for everything you've added, and Dolly Finn as well, and everybody in the chat for making this something I look forward to doing every week for the show. And again, keep your requests coming. To quote the Console Wars program, we will get to them. And hey, Console Wars did do the comparison between Final Fight 2 and Streets of Rage 2, and actually also against all the Streets of Rage and Final Fight games for the Genesis Super Nintendo, and that is a channel I would recommend, by the way, as far as that, and they came up with Great Circus Mysteries, the purpose of that as well. And we'll get to those games, yeah, they'll go on the master list, so yeah, any game you'll want to see for the show, ask and you shall receive, and I will fulfill at least one viewer request a month, and technically, as I mentioned, though, this month is going to be a little more of fulfilling more viewer requests, so with the show winding down, let's go into the schedule as far as what that's going to look like. Take another drink of water. Next week is a game that has also been requested, and I've said as far back as November of 2020, saying, quote, we're going to get to this game eventually, and next week, the time has come. We're going to be playing Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis, developed by Treasure, the first game Treasure made. We've played Treasure's stuff before. We played McDonald's Treasure Hunt Adventure, we played a little bit of Ikaruga, we played a little bit of Radiant Silvergun, which, by the way, if you own an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One or an Xbox Series S or Series X and you have an Xbox Gold account, Radiant Silvergun is free for you until tomorrow. So you might want to take advantage of that one. Another new one to me. Dolphin, you're going to be in for a treat for that game, which is not to say that, no, this game was not a treat. This game is a fun game. Also, let me touch the controller because it goes fade in or fade away when you have it, idle for a bit of time. But Gunstar Heroes, that is a great game. There are a lot of stories I have with that I also kind of came to late. Not as late as this one, but still one I came to a bit later, and it's a holy grail as far as the Sega Genesis is concerned, as far as Treasure, the developer, which we've gone into before. As I said, that Radiant Silvergun thing for you Xbox players, that is definitely one to take advantage of, because remember, Radiant Silvergun is a game that's over $200 on the Saturn in Japan. It's $15 down normally on the Xbox system. It's not too bad. But, yeah, free for you. And it is, remember, one other thing as far as the Xbox Gold stuff, anything from that's from the Xbox 360, you own it forever. Even if you cancel your Xbox Gold subscription, you have it forever. I have stuff that way for the purpose of that. It's doing stuff I think chat will want to see. I mean, I have stuff like Contra Hardcore Uprising that I got through that. Actually, some of the stuff we did with the Fighting Showcase when I did Samurai Showdown 2 and Gara Mark of the Wolves. In that case, that's that perspective. So, yeah, next week, Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis. As far as how we're going to play that, I'm between using the Switch Online expansion pack again for that, but I think for variety's sake, I think I'm going to pull out the Sega Genesis Mini, because it's on that as well. And those versions are about as equally ported. And in both cases, also, I have the controller, so it's the specific form factor. So, yeah, I think I'll pull the Sega Genesis Mini out again. We used that for Castle of Illusion, and we used that for Shinobi 3. So, yeah, I'll pull that one out again just for the purpose of variety. But, yeah, next week, using that, we'll play Gunstar Heroes on the Sega Genesis. The week after that, we are going back to Kingdom Hearts for Part 5, which is going to be a lot of cleanup, honestly. Fun. Yeah, it will be fun, and, that if you haven't seen Gunstar Heroes, Dolphin, I'll say that. Yeah, that's definitely one you're not going to want to miss. But, again, if you can't make the show, I get that. The idea of scheduling, like, hey, you have things going on, no problem. It'll go up on the YouTube site in a couple days afterwards, so it'll be up there for the record. But yeah, Gunstar Heroes, that is a great game, and I cannot wait to do that. I know Chaz said they want to see it. I've said I want to see it. So in that case, I'm technically fulfilling more reviewer requests that way, as well as something that I've been wanting to get to. I'm looking for a good excuse to do it. So next week is Gunstar Heroes. Cannot wait to do that. Week after that, as mentioned, Kingdom Hearts for the cleanup part for Part 5. That's going to be a lot of stuff for the optional boss battles, including the Sephiroth stuff. I'm almost done max leveling out everything for that. So we'll almost be there. Maybe I'm going overboard for that, but I know the stories of how hard some of those optional boss battles are. We're going to take care of them, and then February, I believe we finished the game, or finished that one anyway. Looking forward to it. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that, and all of your contributions for the show tonight, and all the shows we've had. Okay, the week, as far as February, because, yeah, I'm realizing we only have 2 more shows as far as January, which is Kingdom Hearts next week. Oh, no, Kingdom Hearts 2 weeks, and Gunstar Heroes next week. February, I know what the schedule is looking like, but there's only one setting, or one game that I know the schedule specifically for, which is going to be the end of the month is when Nocturne and I are going to get back. We're going to continue with Mega Man Legends for Part 2, so that's sort of going to be fulfilling a request that way, because I've been asked, when are we going to get back to that? And I'm still like, I want to figure that out. Her and I have been trying to figure this out, trying to figure scheduling out. A lot of things have gone crazy as far as that, but we got it figured. We're going to play it again. And actually, I'm also going to, we're going to sort of a little play it differently, I think, if she's okay with this. Well, we will and we won't. I'll explain that when we get to that. But I know that one's set in stone for the end of next month. Next month, also, we have another review request, also on Lek vs. Case. Wanted to see Star Fox for Super Nintendo. We're going to play that one. And then also, on top of that, we have the second part of Ocarina of Time, which we're going to play. And I don't know when that is. I got to get with Protorova to see what schedule is going to be, because it's up in the air for him for that. But he's going to dictate that. It's up to him, and we don't do that without him. So it's going to be somewhere there. So this first 3 weeks for February, I'm not sure. And then also Kingdom Hearts, we're going to finish it. We'll have the finale of that at some point as well. So that's what the schedule's looking like for the rest of this month and into next month. But the stuff I do know as far as the schedule right now is next week for Gunstar Heroes, week after for Part 5 of Kingdom Hearts, and final week of February for Mega Man Legends Part 2. But yeah, with that, I think that's going to call it for Super Old Game Saturday for Final Fight 2. Thank you again so much for watching the show and for contributing so much and making this special case. Great show. Thank you and good night. Well, thank you and good night to you, Dolly Finn, Like First, everybody out there in the chat. Thank you again, Like First, for the suggestion. Keep them coming. I am loving to do this, and I'm loving to fulfill them and to, have this great time and great, discussion going. And the stuff we mentioned tonight, as far as that will go on the master list of requests. And I'll figure as far as getting those games that you're mentioning. All right, as I said, next time we come back to Final Fight, it'll be with the third game, but that'll not be until we do Streets of Rage 2, which I do want to do in November, I think. I'm going to line that up somehow with the 30th anniversary of that one, which is this year. I don't think it's going to fall specifically on the Saturday the way that Streets of Rage 1 did last year, but I'll have it close enough. So I'll do that, and then after we do Streets of Rage 2, we'll do the next Final Fight game, which is Final Fight 3, also for the Super Nintendo. But yeah, with that, thank you again for watching Super Old Game Saturday. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight and enjoyed this look at Final Fight 2 from Capcom. Thank you again for the requests. With that, I think I'll bid you all a good night and a farewell, and I will see you next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, for Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis. Until then, have a great night, keep being awesome, and I'll see you next week.